leading into this contest. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore. Quint Kesnick downstairs. He'll be joining us in just a bit. Partner, all week long we've talked nostalgia. The 10 national championships between these two teams, the Heisman Trophy winners. But since 2001, when Miami won it all, neither of these teams has won a national title.
Yeah, we remember the great players in this series. You know, the Tommy Frazier's, you know, the Eric Crouches on the Miami side, Bernie Kosar and Gino Torretta. You know, but those players and the fans of these teams, they've not seen a conference championship by either one of these programs in a while. 1999 for Nebraska, 2003 for Miami. So there's a little frustration, and kind of one of the subplots here is that frustration boiling over in Miami. We've heard it all week about Al Golden on talk radio and in the newspapers.
Hey, you mentioned all those names. You made us old now,
well,
okay? You officially dated us. Well, something about familiarity that breeds a little bit of contentiousness, and we certainly saw that last year in this meeting between these two teams in Nebraska. It got a little bit nasty.
Well, these players were mostly not alive during the heyday of this series, but they heard about the series from former players, from fans, and from coaches, and they got a little chippy. They were trying to get their pride back last year. Good ball game. We expect another good one, hopefully with not as much chippiness.
Well, Nebraska leads the overall series 6-5. This is the 12th meeting. Teams coming onto the field. Week 3 off in earnest. Welcome back to Miami Gardens, Florida. And folks, when I tell you the Miami Hurricanes are rocking and ready to go, I mean that in a literal sense. That bus rocking before they got off it and got here to Sun Life Stadium a few hours ago. They come in undefeated at 2-0, 1-1. Nebraska's record coming into this game, and a lot of this storyline centering around the quarterback of the Hurricanes, the talented sophomore Brad Kaya. And for more, downstairs to Quint.
Excellence at the quarterback position has always gone hand in hand with national titles here at Miami, and that's why Hurricane fans are so encouraged this season. Brad Kaya, 6'4" sophomore from California, 63% right now, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He is the undoubted leader of this team. He told me last year as a true freshman who came to campus in June, it was hard for his voice to be heard. He said, this year, I am the face of the program. He's a serious customer. Today, he wants to exploit Nebraska's secondary that has given up some big plays.
Yeah, he certainly put up some impressive numbers. Rod, what do we look for out of Kaya at quarterback?
Well, the middle of the field is dark and full of terror, but not for this guy. He knows how to move linebackers out of the way, as you see here, and he'll find his slot guy over the middle. He is not afraid to throw the ball over the middle of the field. Now, not just with his wideouts, he will clear space for his running backs. They use their running backs in the passing game as well as anybody. They get one isolated on the linebacker, and he drops one in over the middle. That's what we're looking for out of him today. He is not afraid to throw the ball over the middle.
And he's got some pretty talented targets, especially coming out of the backfield with Yearby at running back. Miami folks winning the toss and deferring to the second half. So Nebraska, led by head coach Mike Riley, will receive the opening kickoff. Riley, the erstwhile head coach at Oregon State. Before that, collegially at USC for several years, in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers, and the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Were you surprised at his move to Nebraska from Oregon State?
It was a puzzling move. He seemed to have things going in a very good direction and seemed to really settle in at Oregon State.
I thought it was fascinating that he said when he got the call asking if he was interested, he said his wife said, yeah, we need to look into that. He said that surprised him. He said, well, if wife wants to look at it, I'm going to look at it.
Meanwhile, the Miami Hurricanes' Al Golden in his 5th year with the Miami Hurricanes, and 6-7 a season ago. He says that his team is ready for this game. Says their circle is tight. They've stayed poised and focused despite all the static and all the outside noise. And of course, Al Golden's situation with the school and his position has been under scrutiny for the last 12 months. We're underway. And this one will come out to the 25-yard line. First down and 10 for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Well, their starting quarterback is Tommy Armstrong Jr., a 6'1" junior out of Texas via Mississippi. There's a look at his numbers, and statistically 9-4 as a starter. 1-1 this year. That loss coming on a Hail Mary pass against BYU. 5 touchdown tosses. But we're going to talk about it throughout the course of this game, adjusting Rod to a different style this year.
Yeah, and he's become a better quarterback in the first couple of games. Better as a pocket passer. And Miami will test that today.
Brandon Riley in motion. They fake the jet sweep and hand it off to Terrell Newby. And Newby gets about 4 yards on first down. He's coming off a big week last week in their victory over University of South Alabama. Newby's a 5'10" sophomore out of Los Angeles. 2nd and 6. Three receivers, single back formation. Newby beside Armstrong. Westerkamp in motion. And he fires in that direction, and a big hit as the ball arrived. Deion Bush put the wood on Lane Hovey, and he jarred it loose.
Jonesy, Miami just went to their nickel package, brought in some speed rushers and an extra defensive back. And they want to keep Armstrong in the pocket. They don't want him to get outside and use his feet. They want to force him to go to his second or third option.
4 receivers out on this formation. Newby in the backfield beside Armstrong. Westerkamp in motion. Armstrong had time, and it's incomplete. Intended for Westerkamp again, and it's 3 and out to start the game for the Huskers offensively. This Miami defense had some trouble last week in their game against FAU, but a good start for them here on the opening drive.
You know, you mentioned the heat that's been on Al Golden down here. A lot of that has gone to the defensive side of the ball and their struggles.
Sam Foltz in the ball game, averaging 37 yards a punt. That's Corn Elder running it down. It's going to go out of bounds, and the Hurricanes are going to have great starting field position on 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line after that 36-yard punt. As Brad Kaya, the ACC Rookie of the Year, coming out of Los Angeles, California. 6 and 7 as a starter.
It's interesting that he's been under the radar. I think he's the best quarterback in the ACC. I mean, a lot of folks like Everett Golson over at Florida State. Justin Thomas at Georgia Tech's more of an option guy. Deshaun Watson hasn't played. Marquise Wilson at North Carolina. But this guy was so productive as a freshman, and he should build upon that this season.
1st down and 10 from the 35. Single back set, 3 receivers. Kaya gets rid of it quickly. It's complete to Rashawn Scott. And Scott pushed out of bounds, but a 12-yard gain. He was working against Daniel Davey. That Husker secondary struggled a little bit.
And for Miami, it is all about speed and not wasting time. And going after Davey and using speed is part of what you will see. Miami believes they are a faster team, and they are, and they should use that to their advantage.
Kaya has time, taking a shot up top. It hung up there a little bit long and incomplete at the 10-yard line, Rod. They went right back to Herb Waters working against the same guy, Davey.
Well, and Waters had him beat. He used his speed to blow by him. That ball was underthrown. I think that Kaya actually thought he wasn't that far open. He gave it too much air. Had he just let it fly, Waters would have been dancing in the end zone.
Now Waters, their 2nd fastest receiver. One more look at the end of it, and he seemed to land badly and injure his hand. He came out of the ball game. They're going to run it this time. Joe Yearby, who put up huge numbers last week against FAU all the way down to the 43-yard line. Looks like he got enough for the 1st down. Picked up 10.
Yeah, he is the guy who was behind Duke Johnson last year as a freshman, and Duke taught him everything. Doesn't waste a lot of time in the hole, and he's a guy that can catch the ball as well.
Kaya, wide open over the middle. Scott got a nice block. 1st and 10, Miami. A 32-yard gain. We're going to call it 1st and goal. Here be the single back. Kaya on the slant. Touchdown Hurricanes. Christopher Herndon. Hurricanes with an interesting formation here, forcing the Huskers to adjust here. And now they're going to go a little bit more conventional and kick the extra point. But Al Golden's crew stunning this Cornhusker defense, taking shots early and often, Rod.
Yeah, speed kills. And they came out showing their speed.
Herndon with his first touchdown catch of the season and of his career. And Kaya now has 16 consecutive touchdowns thrown in as many games.
Well, this is too easy, and it is pretty. And there's your touchdown to Herndon. 7-0 Canes.
Another beautiful day here in South Florida. A look at the South Beach area, right around Collins Avenue, Ocean Drive, around 41st Street. Meanwhile, uptown here in Miami Gardens, 7-0 Hurricanes lead. Kaya went 3 for 4 for 54 yards on that opening drive. And let's see how the Cornhuskers bounce back. And once again, they'll start off from their own 25-yard line. Rod, tell us about the key on that last drive and the big play.
Well, let's go back and talk about the middle being open. They've got quarters coverage. They will run it off here with this guy. That will open up this whole area for Scott to run his little dig route, the square in. Watch him come open. Nobody in the middle. They've run off the coverage deep there, and Scott catches that one for a 32-yard play, the biggest play of that touchdown drive.
1st down and 10, Nebraska. Had a 3-and-out on their opening drive of the ball game. Armstrong hands it off to Newby. A nice seam over the right side. And he's brought down after about a 5-yard gain on the play. Bush making the tackle as we take a look at our impact players, Rod.
Well, you saw Newby. He had a big week last week. They'll use him a lot. Collins is a defensive tackle who is outstanding. And then on the Miami side, those two running backs, Yerby and Walton, are outstanding. They can both catch the ball. You will see them in the flat and down the middle of the field catching passes.
A couple of local products. 2nd down and 5 for Nebraska. Ethan Carter in motion, then sets. Armstrong finds Westerkamp at a good tackle in the open field on the play. 4-yard gain. Jermaine Grace making the stop for the Hurricanes.
This puts him in position for a 3rd and short, which is where they want to be. They weren't there on that last drive. They can use either Newby or go to their bigger back if they want to get Cross in there, who's 230 pounds.
3rd and 1. Cross in the backfield. They hand it off to Cross, and he gets the 1st down and then some. Last year in this game, let's go to Cassidy in the studio.
Thanks Mark. Taco Bell studio update. Number 18 Auburn, number 13 LSU in Death Valley. After Leonard Fournette's 71-yard run on the first play from scrimmage, Brandon Harris in his first Tiger Stadium start gets a 2-yard TD run. LSU on top, 7-0 early.
All right, Cassidy back here, 1st and 10 after the 5-yard gain. There's a jet sweep. Handoff is to Riley, and Riley has another first down for Nebraska. Rod, last year in this matchup in Lincoln at that 11-yard gain, this Nebraska team had a lot of success running against Miami. What do we expect to be different this year in that matchup?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it will be different. I think what you will have is that added feature that Mike Riley brought of the screen game and that flanker sweep. You just saw that one right there with Riley, and they'll use that a half dozen times if possible today.
1st and 10 Nebraska. Armstrong back to pass. Fires a strike. The ball knocked loose. And it looks like they're going to rule it incomplete. Cornhuskers delivered some heat on that hit on Sept and Carter. Rod, that's the second time big hits for the Canes have paid off.
Well, and the second drop, and it's a little bit surprising because as we've watched Nebraska so far this season, the one thing they've done offensively is catch the football. They've got a lot of different receivers that they use, and they've all been pretty good at hanging on to the football, but they've been separated from the ball so far today.
2nd down and 10 from near midfield. Newby in the backfield takes the handoff. And he's going to be stopped up right near the line of scrimmage. Might have gotten a yard on the play. So let's look ahead a little bit. 3rd down and 9 for Nebraska. Mike Riley implementing his new offense.
Well, I think he's happy with the little shallow crosses that they've run across the middle. They've been there, but they've suffered big hits and lost the ball. So they haven't stopped it. So come back to it, whether that is Westerkamp dragging across or your tight end, and maybe Carter's that guy. But either one of them over the middle should still be open right now.
3rd and long for Armstrong. Up top. And incomplete. Good coverage by Tracy Howard on the corner on Brandon Riley. So 4th and long coming up for Nebraska. And they'll punt for the 2nd time this afternoon. Armstrong just 1 for 5 passing the ball. But in fairness to the junior quarterback, he's had a couple of drops because of some big hits, as Rod pointed out a moment ago. Cornhuskers standing at his own 10-yard line for Miami.
You know, it looks awfully hot down there.
Looks? It is about 93 degrees, and that's not counting the humidity. And I'll tell you what, Sam Foltz with a poor effort on that punt. That is the follow-up after a 36-yard effort that he had on his first one. The official still walking up, and he's going to mark it at about the 33. 1st and 10 from there for Miami. A very leisurely Saturday afternoon in downtown Miami. A look at the Tuttle Causeway and uptown here in Miami Gardens. 7-0 lead for the Miami Hurricanes. Brad Kaya led his team down the field on the opening drive of the ball game for Miami and scored a touchdown. That big play, that 32-yard pass and catch to Rashawn Scott. And you can understand after watching him on the opening drive what some of this hype is all about. He hands it off to Joe Yearby. And Yearby brought down after a gain of about 7. There has been a lot of heat on Miami's head coach in the pressed white shirt right there, as this banner ran last week over the stadium at FAU and when they played.
Yeah, they ran it this morning
as
too.
well. This was the second banner that they flew over the stadium. That also today. So some people making their voices heard, as is Kaya, caught down to the 15 by Waters. And that might quiet the critics of Golden for a while. A 38-yard gain.
Well, Kaya hangs in there. He had to hear the pressure coming, but he stood his ground. As Young, the freshman, is coming to get him. The ball is perfectly thrown as we see Waters here, and Waters was the one he overthrew, and the first drive, he got him this time perfectly as he beat the single coverage.
Working on Davey again. 1st and 10 from the 15. Davey stopped up after a gain of about 3 or 4.
So our man Davey on the corner over there, you mentioned to me earlier in the week, hey Rod, check out the film. He's had some troubles the first couple of weeks. And I guess Miami did too, because they've gone right after him at least 3 times already today.
Wow, if you're Nebraska, what's the adjustment, or is there one to help him out?
Well, you can go to zone coverages, but at some point zone coverage becomes man coverage when they run goes on you.
Miami with some talented receivers. Between LaShawn Scott and Stacy Coley, who's back this week, number 3. Kaya, a little pressure, picked it up. Touchdown, Miami. Brady with the catch. Tyrone Brady. He beat Josh Kalu.
Well, he is picking them apart. This is like 7-on-7 with no pass rush.
Offensive coordinator James Coley coming out with an aggressive script for the Hurricanes offensively to start this game. And in speaking with him earlier this week, Rod, we kind of had the feeling he wasn't going to be tentative at all.
No, he certainly felt they had a speed advantage and that they would take every opportunity to use it.
And the Hurricanes out to a 14-0 lead. Kaya, 2 touchdowns. His last 3 passes. The flag is down on the play.
Personal foul. Roughing the snapper by the defense. The point is good. The 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Mr. Capron, our official today. And Brad Kaya just eviscerating that secondary of Nebraska. 14-0 Miami when we come back. Welcome back, everyone, to Sun Life Stadium here in Miami Gardens, Florida. Boy, the Miami Hurricanes coming out early here and stunning Nebraska to the tune of 14-0. Brad Kaya has been on fire. And the Hurricanes kicking off from the 50-yard line, a result of the penalty on the extra point. Booms it out of the back of the end zone. Hey, Quint, what's happening with Nebraska right now? What's with their temperature?
Jonesy, you sit around an air-conditioned hotel room all day and you hydrate and you think everything's going to be fine, and you come out here. It's a tropical steam bath down the field, 95 degrees plus heavy humidity. Mike Riley elected to take an abbreviated warm-up, and given the history between these two teams and last year's the intensity, the violence of that game, there were no misbehavior in the early warm-ups, and it just looks like Nebraska right now, a little on the flat side, not emotionally ready to play.
Yeah, it's an interesting fine line that you have to walk. First and 10. Armstrong hands it off. Actually, he keeps it himself, and that's the type of runner he can be. Let's go back to the studio and Cassidy Hubbard.
Thanks, Mark. Let's take a look at who's getting it done, presented by Wells Fargo. And the Irish are getting it done early. Deshaun Kaiser, first career start to Will Fuller. That looks reminiscent of the game winner last week. A 46-yard touchdown. Irish up 7-0 in the first.
Good start for the Fighting Irish, considering all they've been through with all the players they've lost.
Yeah, new quarterback. And Al Golden is going ballistic there on the sidelines, looking for a flag. Looked like Nebraska ran somebody on late.
What do you make of the Golden controversy down here? I mean, I got here this week and the talk radio was blowing up about him.
You'd think they were 0-2 and lost to both FAU and Bethune-Cookman. Here's the call first.
There are 2 fouls. Substitution infraction. 12 men on the field by the offense. Sideline warning against the defense. Those fouls do not offset. There is a 5-yard penalty against the offense. Second down.
Let's go to Quint for more.
Jonesy, in terms of the attitude of this Miami team and the distraction surrounding Coach Al Golden, you go to practice on Friday, they're about as loose as it gets. They were focused when the work was ready to be done. And I thought after practice, I saw guys staying after, working on their trade, working with the jugs machine. So this team, their personality, their attitude, I think they're oblivious to it.
Yeah, they seem to have done a great job of shutting out the outside noise and static that often accompanies being a member of the Miami Hurricanes in this town. A lot of local kids from South Florida on the roster, so they know about the history of the program. 2nd and 12, Nebraska. Armstrong complete out to the 30-yard line. Catch is made by Cotton, tight end. Sam Cotton making the catch. 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, they're still able to work inside. We've seen them throw the ball over the middle. That was an 8-yard pickup. And remember, they successfully threw the ball over the middle in the first couple of drives, but had the ball knocked out on tackles.
Trips right formation by Armstrong here on 3rd down and 4. It's going to take off on a designed run, but nowhere to go. And the Hurricane defense answers the challenge again.
That's Muhammad.
Yep.
Just so, man, he was all over that thing. That's a fantastic play. He fought off the blocker. Watch him to the right side of your screen. He gets blocked, takes off. He doesn't stay blocked, fights off of it, and makes a play in the backfield. That is huge for a guy who missed all of last season with the suspension and has recently gotten back in the lineup.
Sophomore out of Irvington, New Jersey. 4th and 3. And Sam Fultz into punt. Oren Elder staying at his own 27, a low-line drive, but better than his first 2 attempts, and I'm not sure that's really saying much at this point. Fultz certainly struggling. That one just 38 yards. Well, tonight on ESPN, it's an SEC double dip. First at 6, South Carolina taking on number 7, Georgia. On the college football primetime presented by Hilton. Then at 9:15, number 2, Alabama seeking revenge against number 15, Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
You know, Chad Kelly will be a quarterback for Ole Miss, and he's got a connection to Miami.
Yes, Jim
Kelly.
Hall of Famer.
Yep, his uncle.
One of the first great Hurricane quarterbacks in a wonderful lineage of quarterbacks at the University of Miami.
We may be seeing the next great one today.
Certainly off to that kind of start, Rod. Completes the pass out near the 1st down. Big hit and a great catch. Gary made the catch on Herndon.
You know, Jonesy, a lot of young quarterbacks are afraid to throw over the middle because they can't see the linebackers. They can't see the safeties. Well, it helps when you have big tight ends like Herndon who are willing to put their body at risk to catch the ball for you.
Boy, they both seem to get up a little wobbly after that one, Rod.
Well, you got a 250-pounder going against a 200-pounder. And I mean Herndon, the tight end, is the 250.
Well, we do have a medical observer working in the booth today to spot situations where a player might need medical attention, and neither sideline has spotted such a situation. A good upgrade of the situation overall, right, from a year ago?
Absolutely. Keep in mind, though, the independent observer in this game with an interconference game is not truly independent, selected by Miami, but servicing both teams.
Spoken like a great lawyer, man. That was good.
Can't run from that.
1st and 10. They tried to set up the middle screen and do. That's Njoku. Great athlete gets the 1st down. David Njoku, also a high jumper on the track team at the University of Miami. 1st and 10 at midfield. Flag on the play. Yearby with a spirited run, a gain of about 7. Brought down by Rose Ivy.
You get the impression Miami has sped up their tempo because of the conditions here, because of the heat.
Sure looks that way. And of course, report from Quinn a moment ago saying it was 95 degrees down in the field, and with the humidity feels well over 100.
It was fine when I was on the beach at 7:30 this morning.
Top block on the play. The block was legal. Second down.
Yeah, it's a little different when you got that ocean breeze.
Yeah, a lot different now.
5:07 to go in the first quarter. Miami has been dominant so far. 7-yard gain by Joe Yearby. Kaya taking another shot up top. A flag thrown. That's going to be pass interference against Byerson Cockrell, working against Rashawn Scott.
Working the safeties on Cockrell now. They have made an adjustment out there. Nebraska has defensively. They have Rose in at one corner and Kulu's on the other corner. That is the safety Cockrell, who got lined up against a slot receiver who's a little too fast for him. That's Scott. And he probably didn't have to tackle him. That ball was probably a bit overthrown, but he had no idea where the ball was.
There's Cockrell, who was victimized there. They were working against Daniel Davey earlier, and he doesn't seem to be on the field.
He's on the sideline right now. That's Kulu over there, 10. And then Rose is on the other side.
Let's see who Kaya goes to work on. Has time to throw. And wisely throws this one away. Showing good discretion, good heat up front by Dedrick Young.
That was the best job so far today by the secondary in Nebraska. They cut off runners who were trying to go deep. The runners, the receivers who were near the sideline, they forced them to go out of bounds to get around them. There was no place for Kaya to go with the football.
2nd and 10, Miami. Sean Scott into the boundary. At the bottom of your screen, 3 receivers out to the top.
Rose was showing a corner blitz from the bottom of the field, and Miami has recognized it.
Handed off to Joe Yearby. Made a guy miss. Down to the 21-yard line, picked up 7. And Rod, you talked about it when we were watching film. He puts his foot in the ground and goes.
He is the rare back who can change direction simply by planting his foot one way. He is so effective and good. When he steps hard, there it is. Left foot plant, he cuts right off of it and goes. He does not have to round that at all. He just plants and goes.
3rd and 3 coming up. Herndon in motion, now Sept. Kaya to pass. Over the middle, has the first down. Catch down to the 15-yard line. Lawrence Cager picks up 6, and they move the chains again.
Partner, it's critical time right now for Nebraska. They give up 7. They might be done. It might be hard to get back in it at that point. They've got to find a way to hold Miami to a field goal here. A 21-point deficit in this heat.
Yeah, their defense has been on the field for a long time.
Yeah.
Mike Riley's team looking for answers right now. Yearby still beside Kaya. Give him time. And he overthrew Yearby. And that would have been 6 had he put a little bit of air underneath it, Rod.
Yep, just needed a little bit more touch.
And you saw him move a little bit out of the pocket. Not a great, what you would call a mobile quarterback, but mobile enough as we go down to Quinn.
Yeah, Brad told me yesterday he needs to work. This is this young man looking at himself in the mirror. He says, I need to work on getting the ball in tighter windows. That is here in the red zone. He also says he needs to improve his throwing on the run. Just an example of that. So he's well aware of those 2 areas of his game that need to improve.
And that's half the battle. 8 of 11 so far. 2nd and 10. Herndon in motion. Mark Walton in the backfield. Pass complete. Over the middle, down to the 2-yard line. Wow, Herb Waters dragged the pile of Huskers about 3 yards to set up 1st and goal.
You know, to Quint's point, that was a very tight window. Look at all the white shirts around there. And he was able to squeeze that football in there. I mean, Kaya is gutsy. He's accurate. I like the attitude. They're in a great spot right now.
Mark Walton in the backfield. He scored a bunch of touchdowns last week against FAU in such situations. Takes the handoff, and he's stopped up short of the goal line at about the 1. Picked up a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
This is when Nebraska has to have their interior guys, Malik Collins, number 7, and company, rise up. Valentine has had a bad ankle. I think he's out of the picture right now, not on the field for Nebraska.
10th play to drive. Walton, pile moving, but no signal yet. Might have gotten a yard. Akin Moladune making the stop for the Cornhuskers. Yeah, we watched Valentine moving around in pregame, and he wasn't looking too mobile.
Yeah.
3rd and goal. They've run it a couple of times. You run it again here? Are you looking to throw it?
I would expect Miami to go to the edge now and get away from Collins inside because he's fairly disruptive. So if they would go to the edge, maybe with the tight ends or try rolling out Kaya, I don't expect him to go right back inside where Collins is.
Got a flag.
False start. Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's against Alex Gall, first-year starter.
This is huge for Nebraska now. Instead of the 1-yard line, they moved him back to the 6, and they have to get this stop. They have trouble getting pressure on the quarterback. They have to find a way right now, and if they have to bring the house, you bring the house, but they can't give up a touchdown here and stay in this game.
On the road, facing a lot of adversity. Kaya to pass on the fade. Just a little long and incomplete, intended for Njoku. So, as you said, Rod, it looks like Nebraska dodges one here as Miami will go for the field goal.
Well, Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, recognized it also, and he did bring the house.
Well, Njoku's a 7-foot high jumper, but couldn't jump high enough to get to that ball.
Yeah, no, it was the right thing to do. They needed to come out of this thing without giving up a touchdown, and it looks good so far for Nebraska that they will prevent a touchdown down here.
Badgley's 4 of 5 on the season so far. His lone miss coming last week from close range against FAU, but he knocks this one through to make it a 17-0 ball game. Mike Riley looking for some answers. It's all smiles on the Cane sidelines. Welcome back, everyone, to Sun Life Stadium, and celebrating its 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Under the bright sun here in tropical Miami, Florida, we're at Sun Life Stadium. Brad Kaya has been unbelievable to start this game for the Miami Hurricanes, putting up spectacular numbers. So far, 9 of 13 passing, 141 yards, including 2 touchdowns, and we haven't even gotten to the end of the first quarter.
You're saying he's doing a good job?
He could be the next one. That quarterback you here. You talk about the greats. And
are you going to say some of those names?
Jim Kelly.
Kelly? You're comparing
Testaverde. Kosar.
Toretta? Oh, my goodness. And he's only a quarter into the game. And he's being anointed.
Hey, that's what we do. We're in the hype business a little bit. You talk about Chad Kelly of Ole Miss. Big game tonight. We'll see on the ESPN networks as they take on Alabama.
Was that a Charlie Brown?
I think they
did. Lucy pull the ball?
Well, you were mentioning all those earlier those older players during our open, and me just a while ago, you mentioned Lucy, Charlie Brown. We're really in that demographic now.
Yeah. Everybody loves Charlie Brown. Come on.
Speaking of do-overs like this kickoff, Nebraska would probably love a do-over. 17-0 to start this game, and you have to wonder about their psyche coming into this.
Well, you take the victories where you can find them, and that stop, giving up only 3 that last series, is a mini victory, and they'll try and build on that.
Out of the end zone, this is Morgan Jr., and he's brought down at about the 23. Well, take all of ESPN's great college football action with you with Watch ESPN. Stream every game live, folks. Just download the app or go to watchespn.com. Whether you're on the beach, at the Clevelander, at dinner, at a wedding while they're saying their vows and you need to know the score. I've done it before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know.
Get that
you
app.
have.
It helps.
Wow. I kind of use mine at the airport.
Lots of college football games today, as some interesting ones today you'll see on the ESPN networks. Miami answering the call here in a step up in competition today against Nebraska. 1st and 10 for the Cornhuskers from the 23. This is Cross. Flag down, and Cross brought down just across the 30. Inside a minute to go here in the first quarter. Gain of 8 yards on the play, but will it stand? Nebraska with wins over BYU and South Alabama.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense, number 7. 15-yard penalty. Added on to the end of the run. First down.
Correction, they lost to BYU and then defeated South Alabama, but Mike Riley was, you know, they could have easily let BYU beat them twice the way they lost that game, but Mike Riley was happy with the way that they bounced back against South Alabama.
Yeah, you know, he says he likes this team. He's still getting to know these guys. I think a lot of people assume when you just become the coach, you're instantaneously you're there, but it takes a while for players to trust you, and he's an easygoing guy. They're starting to trust him, and the way they came back after that BYU loss is a good sign.
Armstrong, flag down. Westerkamp makes the catch at the 35-yard line. There's a flag down back at the 43-yard line.
Illegal formation. The offense had 5 men in the backfield. Number 68 was lined up in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
This one's going to come back, and Mike Riley said, you know, we gave up way too many big plays in the first 2 games. Unfortunately for him, the trend continuing here in this game against Miami, and now they got to re-rack this one on offense.
And the other thing that's hurting them is they've not been able to generate big plays on offense. They had 51 plays of 10 yards or more coming into this game. And they're going to need a couple of big plays to get back in this one.
Newby in the backfield. Armstrong still with the ball. Newby on the screen and nowhere to go. They're actually going to be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage on that one, as that punctuates the end of the first 15 minutes of play. The first 15 minutes in which the Miami Hurricanes came out slinging it. Brad Kaya with a couple of touchdown passes. He's spinning it today, folks. ESPN College Football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the ACC on ESPN from Sun Life Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. I'm Mark Jones, chopping it up with Rod Gilmore. Quint Kesnick down at the sideline, start of the second quarter here. Nebraska digging itself out of a 17-0 hole. Terrell Newby in the backfield. You look at the discrepancy, a huge one in total yardage as we enter the second quarter. 2nd and 15, Armstrong could have taken off. Whips it downfield complete. And let's see where they spot this. They're going to spot it a little bit short of the first down. Brandon Riley making the stop, working against Tracy Howard.
I'm not sure that Armstrong could throw a pass that accurately last season on the move like that. I mean, that was so much better than we've seen from him in the past, and he's become a much better quarterback. Part of that is, you know, just maturation and playing, but a lot of that is Riley and his system and his teaching the quarterback position.
Brand new way of doing things offensively for Nebraska. Coach trying to become a little bit more multiple as crosses the deep back out of the eye on 3rd and short. They're going to go play action, but nobody home for Armstrong, who's in trouble here. And is pushed out of bounds short of the first down. Good pressure up front by Tyreek McCord, number 17, to blow that play up.
Not a fan of that call. You're down 17-0. You're trying to string something together. You had a 3rd and short. You have a 230-pound back that got you a 3rd down and short earlier in the ball game. I mean, I would have loved to have seen them do that, but instead you do this, and now you give up great field position, and you get nothing out of the drive.
What would you have liked to have seen them? I mean, give it a fullback like you said?
Just turn around and get Cross back in there. You did it in the first quarter, and he picked up a 1st down. I mean, until they stop him on those short yardages, I'll keep feeding it.
As a result, 4th and 4. Fultz, who has struggled today punting. Oh, he gets off a great one here. This is going to be down inside the 10-yard line at the 7. It'll be 1st down and 10 for Brad Kaya after the 35-yard punt. The card with the, not this one, the history. Well, let's take a look at the bright side, brought to you by CarMax, and great championship battles between Nebraska and Miami. 3 Orange Bowls right there on your screen. That 92 game, one of the more memorable ones. Pitched a shutout, 22-0.
Yeah, I still remember the 95 game with Tommy Frazier. Key passes late in the game to set up a touchdown run.
I want to say Corey Schlesinger was part of that too.
Well,
speaking of big fullbacks,
that's when fullbacks used to get some glory.
What are they? Mark Walton in the backfield, a tailback for the Miami Hurricanes. First possession of the 2nd quarter. Kaya hands it off. Not much success. Gain of 1. Young makes the stop as we go back to the studio. And Cassidy.
Thanks, Mark. Let's check out this Buffalo Wild Wings wild play in another ACC Big Ten matchup. Danny Izuchukwu with a scoop and 90-yard fumble return for the touchdown. Boilermakers with the 14-10, now down 17-14 in the 2nd. That's on ESPNU.
All right, Cassidy, 2nd and 9 for Miami. Out of the shotgun, hands it off to Walton, and a flag down on the play. You know, Brad Kaya, his first offer was from the University of Miami. The school liked his film when they saw it in his junior year in January, and even though they offered him, he still came to the camp.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield on the offense, half the distance to the goal.
Tells you about his zeal.
The guys don't do that.
Yeah, to attend UN,
no,
right?
you get an offer, and then you go shop for more offers. But you're telling me he didn't shop for more offers. He just came to the next camp anyway. He already had the offer, and he still showed up.
Yeah, Kaya remembers his then Hurricanes back in 2001, and all the Miami fans flooding Pasadena and Los Angeles in that 2001 Rose Bowl game where the Canes defeated the Cornhuskers. He completes the pass out to the 14-yard line to Rashawn Scott. Let's go down to Quint.
It's over 2,700 miles from West Hills, California, here to Miami. But Brad told me yesterday he just wanted to be different. He did not want to play on the West Coast, and he loved Miami right from the start. They spotted him, as you said, James Coley, and he honored that commitment all throughout when a lot of big-name programs did come after him late.
I love the fact that he stayed in high school and showed up in June and still won the starting job last year.
The ACC's reigning Rookie of the Year.
It means that he went to his prom.
We talked about that last week. My partner not big on the coming to school in January variable. Incomplete pass No flag thrown on 3rd and 3. Jonathan Rose, the DB, involved on the play as Rashawn Scott went to the turf. But that's a battle, a significant win for their secondary.
A huge win. Not only do they get off the field, they get a chance to give the ball back to the offense in a good position. They should get this somewhere around the 40-yard line if things go as expected.
So Justin Vogel, who is going to punt for the first time today. It's off a great high spiral. Westerkamp all the way back at the 29. Hit the B button, made a great spin move, and Westerkamp, still on his feet, takes it all the way into Miami territory. Some missed tackles by the Hurricanes, and a 22-yard return on a 57-yard punt. And hey, the Cornhuskers, for the first time today, will start a drive on Miami's side of the field.
They have some life. This ball was going to be inside the 30-yard line, and it looked like maybe he was going to go out of bounds catching it. But watch the great moves he makes. And this is fantastic. He's pinned in.
Oh, he stepped out of bounds there.
Oh, he stepped out. Oh, they're going to move it back. But he made a tremendous effort to get this back up the field. But this will put them at what, about the 30-yard, 35-yard line, 38-yard line. Oh, that's better than the 29.
That's about the story for them today. Terrell Newby in the backfield for Nebraska. Armstrong hands it off to Newby. Dances between the tackles and gets out to the 42-yard line. Interesting story about Newby. You know, he and Kaya were former teammates going way back in Los Angeles, California, playing high school and Pop Warner type football together. And Newby said that I always knew that Brad was going to be a good quarterback. There's a look at the two of them.
It's adorable.
Going back.
That's adorable.
West Valley, the LA area, and two of them texting back and forth this week. Looking forward to this game. Newby breaks one here down to the 35-yard line. And this isn't about friendship. This is about business for Newby. A 23-yard gain, Rod.
Well, when you can get your guys pulled out, take a look and see how they get this going here. And you'll see the hole open up. Right there, you see the great block to the edge, one there, and now Newby has choices. Which way does he want to go? And he cuts it back inside, but a tremendous block when they pull both a lineman and a tight end around to get over there and open up a hole. Nice little counter.
Newby getting a breather, meanwhile, in the sidelines, crossing the ball game for him. Cross on the handoff, dragged down from behind by Hurtalu, one of the more impactful guys up front for that Hurricane defense.
They are big up front. Hurtalu's 315. Jenkins is 311.
He must leave the game for one play.
Yeah, Cross's helmet came off. He had to come out of the ball game as a result by rule.
You know, part of the issue with Miami was that they hadn't had good defensive linemen for a while. They went several years without having a lineman drafted.
That's surprising for a school that's had the likes of Cortez Kennedy going back in the day. A lot of talented guys up front. 2nd and 12. Armstrong taking a shot into traffic and should have been picked off at the 5 by Jamal Carter, who's regretting it. Brandon Riley went up and broke it up, it seemed.
Yeah, you had two Miami defenders back there looking like they're waiting for a punt. And had Riley not run into them, knocked it out, that's a pick. But you had a couple of choices. Carter and Howard both back there waiting on it. Ball never should have been thrown.
3rd and 12.
You know, Jonesy, you don't need it all here. You don't need 12. You got 2 downs to pick it up. So if you can get 6 or more, that would be enough to go for it on 4th down.
Armstrong sets up the screen. Newby stayed on his feet. Short of the first down, Corn Elder knocked him off his feet on the 5-yard gain. It's 4th down coming up. And this would be a pretty long field goal attempt by Drew Brown, who's 2 of 4 on the year with a long of 42.
Yeah, it's about a 50-yarder, and I think Mike Riley said he'd be comfortable with about 28 yards.
Let's go down to Quinn.
Jonesy, there is a slight breeze at Brown's back, moving right to left across the TV screens, probably about 5 to 10 miles an hour. This time of the year when it's so warm, this ball tends to carry a little bit further. It's nice and bouncy.
Well, that's a good point, Quinn, because this is about 5 yards longer than Mike Riley said he would like to try a field goal.
It's up. And man, he drilled that with room to spare. Drew Brown with a career-long 49-yard field goal. And the Cornhuskers are on the board when we come back. Welcome back, everyone, to South Florida. Beautiful day out on the beach and up at Sun Life Stadium. As Drew Brown gets Nebraska on the scoreboard with a career-long field goal of 49 yards. Al Golden down there for the Canes discussing something with the officials. Big game for the Miami Hurricanes and for Nebraska, but for Miami, if they get this W here, they have a week off next week, and then they get into a kind of murderer's row part of their schedule. They go Cincinnati and then Florida State with this huge Virginia Tech and Clemson. So you go into the bye week 3-0. It's a lot different than 2-1, right?
Well, it does two other things too. It also says, wait a minute, the first 2 wins this week, this season, this is more than that. This is the first real test. And second, we would also get a little bit of heat off of Golden, at least for a couple weeks since they have a bye.
Yeah, or a couple banners.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you were surprised, but I was surprised to see 2 banners flying before the game, you know, saying, let's fire him.
Yeah, for a team that's 2-0 and really is facing its first real test today.
And we understand what's been out there, the narrative that you hear, and talk radio has been all over it, and the newspapers are saying, look, you know, he hasn't gotten the job done yet. You know, he's, what, 18-20 in his tenure here against the Power 5 conferences. And it's time for Miami to get back to being Miami, and fans are frustrated seeing other programs come back, and Miami hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, they've had some great upgrades under Al Golden on campus. $7 million field renovation, $20 million upgrade on the Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. Rock, locker rooms and player facilities. They're also building a player performance center right adjacent to their practice fields, another multi-million-dollar project. So for a program that got by on talent alone for decades, they've made the necessary upgrades and really getting recruits now because the Nevin Shapiro spectacle has passed them too.
Illegal formation. Number 12 on the kicking team lined up more than 5 yards from his free kick line. That 5-yard penalty will be assessed at the succeeding spot.
Well, let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And Brad Kaya came out and was really precise early in this ball game, setting the tone.
Oh, he was on fire. I mean, he was just carving up the secondary, threw big passes to get him down close, and then found Herndon in the end zone there, came right back with another big touchdown pass inside. And on the other hand, it was Nebraska dropping passes. Armstrong on target across the middle, but 2 drops really hurt 2 drives early on for Nebraska.
8:37 to go in the first half. First down and 10 for Miami from their own 30. They had their first 3 and out of the ball game on their last offensive series. Joe Yearby in a tailback, and now motions out of the backfield. Kaya works the middle, complete to Rashawn Scott, and Scott's got some room. Great move down to the 20-yard line. First and 10, Miami. Ron, you're smiling because that's exactly what you showed at the top of the show.
We talked about it. They love to work the middle. They're not afraid of throwing the ball over the middle. They clear the linebackers out of there by moving their backs, and they open it up for receivers like Scott to come inside, and there's another catch and run for a huge pickup.
Rashawn Scott missed all of last year with a shoulder injury, a 52-yard gain on that last play, had a clavicle injury, and showing good form coming back this season. Kaya. Incomplete at the 7-yard line, broken up nicely by Nate Gary. Pass was intended for Brady, who already caught a touchdown pass today.
Because Miami uses their running backs in the passing game, they can open up the middle. They force the linebackers to go wide and create more space inside. And that's why Kaya looks over the middle so often, because they've got the room. They create the room. James Kohler, their offensive coordinator, does a great job of creating space in the middle of the field.
Yearby in the backfield. Pager split to the bottom of your screen to the short side of the field. Coley, the inside receiver, and Pager makes the catch, but looks like we had a little bit of motion, and Miami looking a little disjointed there. Coley moved.
Ball start. Offense. Number 3. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Question for you. How much would Golden endear himself to people in Miami if he just didn't wear a suit and tie on the sideline?
You know, I like the white press shirt, but a Tommy Bahama deal would work kind of nice, too.
You know, you hear some of this stuff floating around that. You know, it's not
crazy.
the Miami image. It doesn't fit, you know.
Yeah. It's insane sometimes. The most criticized coach in South Florida. He's 2-0. They come right back to Cager. Cager makes the catch. Stopped up about 5 yards short of the first down. Got 11, so it's third down coming up, and a Nebraska player shaken up back at the 34-yard line. But, you know, Golden was a Temple, Joe Paterno disciple.
But this is what the critics keep pointing to. The 18-20 against the big boys. And when you're a Miami fan, you talk about the tradition and the history, you know, Toretta, Michael Irvin, and these guys, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. And the one thing that has an asterisk beside that 18-20, though, is that for a while there was a cloud that hung over Miami. And during his tenure with the Nevin Shapiro controversy and scandals, the scholarship limits, the penalties, and going out trying to recruit players with that hanging over your head.
They're just now back to 80 scholarships. They're still short 5 scholarships. That's a fair point.
There's a look at Chris Jones, the defensive back for Nebraska, coming off the field. He was shaken up on that last play. There he is coming off the edge.
Yeah, it's going to sting.
That would hurt. 3rd and 5. Kaya. Yearby out of the backfield made a great catch. And let's see where they spot this. He's close to the first down. Right at that marker. Joe Yearby, you talked about his ability to catch the ball, Rod.
That's a running back with wide receiver hands. That's the ball up over his head. He had to go up and get that like a receiver does, and that's fantastic. And now you see a new quarterback on the field.
Malik Rozier. They have a package for him. What is it? What do they like to do with him?
Well, he's the more athletic, the more quarterback design run guy. More of the zone read, keep it, fake it. That's the guy, that's the kind of quarterback he is, and probably why he's in there right now.
Sounds like you described him triple option. He keeps it. And Nebraska stones it back at the 10-yard line. Nate Gary making the stop on the play, setting up a 2nd down and goal. He'll stay in the ball game for another play here, it looks like. Those are the Auburn transfer. And maybe not, as Kyle comes in after the loss of 2.
Yeah, Nebraska read the scouting report on Rozier also and figured he wasn't in there to throw it.
Miami with a couple of touchdowns in the red zone in 3 attempts today. Kaya, incomplete, well defended. Intended for Standish Dobar, the tight end. Michael Rose-Ivy, number 15 right there, broke it up. And now we're looking at a 3rd down and goal. And you sense this Nebraska defense, Rod, gaining a little traction, just a little bit of traction in what they're able to do.
Yeah, well, give Nebraska some credit. I mean, they're picking up guys out of the backfield. Yearby was the guy that they wanted to go to, but he was picked up out there by the corner on that side. I think it was Rose who had him.
3rd and goal. some tall receivers.
Scott goes 6'2". They come up on the fade and incomplete.
Intended for Scott. Jonathan Rose defending it well. So Nebraska looks like they're going to hold them to a field goal here, Rod.
The second time they will have done that, but give a lot of credit to Rose. Since he's coming to the ball game, their corner play has been much better. Remember that Davey started and Miami picked on him. But since they've had Kulu and Rose out there on the corner spots, they've done a much better job taking away those outside receivers.
Bagley in for this field goal attempt from 27. Made one earlier from 23, and Miami goes up 17 on the field goal. A step up in competition for both Nebraska and Miami. The Canes lead when we return. Welcome back, and now for today's Aflac trivia question. Who are the starting quarterbacks for each of the 3 Miami Orange Bowl wins over Nebraska? Ponder that one for a little bit.
Okay, so we showed those Orange Bowl wins earlier, right?
Yeah.
One was 95. No,
92.
92. Now I forget.
And 2002. I got 2 of them. I think I got 3.
Really?
Got 3. From the 2-yard line, Stanley Morgan Jr. got some wheels and nice return out beyond the 25-yard line. Quinn,
Jonesy, it's not easy being an offensive coordinator. You think about the thousands of decisions that these guys have to make, and quickly too. And James Coley told us this week in practice that Malik Roser would come into the game in the red zone, and they try that read option. That was a case, though, where Brad Kaya had this team humming. I mean, they were moving the ball down the field, and you bring in that backup quarterback with a new scheme, and I thought it interrupted their rhythm and their flow, and that first down play resulted in that drive not resulting in 6 or 7.
Q, I think you're right in the fact that Nebraska knew it and they were looking for it and they stopped them. I think you're absolutely right.
Armstrong on 1st and 10 hands it off to Newby. Earl Newby picks up about 5 yards on 1st down. Newby, the reigning Big Ten co-offensive player of the week.
And to follow up Quint's point, the difference is about 4 points. You get a field goal, but if you keep Kaya in and he's humming along, you get a touchdown, and maybe mentally you take apart Nebraska and you're up 24-3 instead of 20. Now Nebraska's thinking, hey, let's get something before halftime. We're right back in this.
Armstrong out of the shotgun, 2nd and 5. Haven't heard much from Alonzo Moore at this point of the game so far for Nebraska. They run the stretch play, a little handoff, and Newby with nowhere to go as we go back to the studio in Cassidy.
Hey, Mark, how about #1 Ohio State losing to Northern Illinois? That is until J.T. Barrett, who replaced Cardale Jones, connects with Michael Thomas for the 23-yard touchdown. We're all tied up at 10 now. This game is on ABC or ESPN2, depending on your location.
Wow, Northern Illinois actually led.
Tell Cassidy not to play with us like that.
Yeah, really.
We're not falling
actually
for that
losing. That, the old banana in the tailpipe on us there, right there. Had us going for a while. 3rd and 6. Nebraska just 1 of 6 on 3rd down conversions. Armstrong fires a dart, and they're going to say that's incomplete. He hit his receiver, Hovey, right in the hands, and he dropped it.
I tell you, if they would simply catch the ball today, he's fighting that one.
That's got to be, what, 3 or 4
That's
drops?
at least the 3rd drop. Yeah. If they simply hang on to the football, they're in this ball game. That's a 3rd drive that's been stopped because of a drop pass.
You can't put that one on Armstrong, the quarterback.
He can't catch it for him.
Sam Foltz coming in now. Corn Elder back on his own 28-yard line. Gets off a great punt this time. Elder all the way back to the 13. And out to the 27-yard line. A 14-yard return on that 50-yard punt. Miami with the ball when we come back to Sun Life Stadium. Welcome back, everyone, to Sun Life Stadium. A look at the Biscayne Bay area. downtown Miami, Florida. We're uptown about 10 miles on I-95. Time now for our Half-Life Trivia question and answer. Who are the starting quarterbacks for each of the 3 Miami Orange Bowl wins over Nebraska?
Who you got? Oh,
I had 2 out of the 3.
You didn't have Steve Walsh, did you?
Walsh is kind of that guy that, for whatever reason, some people seem to slip on. Kosar, Walsh, and Gino Torretta. Still a South Florida resident. And Kaya gets sacked. Speaking of quarterbacks, back at the 13-yard line by Akin Moladun.
Yeah, Jonesy, one of the biggest differences in football now is first down. Most defensive coordinators are trying to get a negative play, a tackle for a loss on first down, because offenses are so good with moving the ball now that you got to get them behind the chains. They have to have 2nd and 10 or more. And that's why you see more plays like this on first down. More people are dialing up pressures on first down.
Yeah, you pointed out earlier last week and the week before, hey, the analytics prove that. The numbers show how it affects whether you make a first down or not. Pass complete out to the 23. That's Rashawn Scott picking up 8.
So that first down play now gets them into a 3rd down situation that Nebraska probably feels pretty good about.
3rd and long coming up.
3rd and 14. You can play pass defense. A chance to get off the field and get the ball back for your offense before half.
In this game last year, Kaya threw for career high 359 yards, a freshman record. As time into traffic, incomplete. There were 2 receivers in the same area. Waters, the intended receiver. So 4th down, Nebraska with 3 timeouts remaining. Rod, they got a little bit of an opportunity maybe.
Well, and I like the energy I'm seeing from Nebraska. That 3rd and 14, they brought a blitz, they brought pressure. It seems like they've picked up more life and energy ever since Westerkamp, made that spectacular run on his punt return that didn't stand up.
Vogel with the punt. Angles it sideline. Westerkamp from the 26. Makes a couple guys miss, and another good punt return. Westerkamp out near midfield again. This one is going to stand. A 22-yard return on the 51-yard punt. And Nebraska on a little bit of a roll here, folks. Tonight on ESPN, double dip time for you. First at 6. South Carolina taking on number 7 Georgia on college football primetime, presented by Hilton. Then at 9:15, number 2 Alabama seeks revenge against number 15 Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
A test for Alabama. A lot of folks jumping on the Ole Miss bandwagon, even though Ole Miss hasn't played anybody. But they've put up a lot of points.
Have they ever?
I like Bama.
I like that Chad Kelly rap mixtape. I got to get it. You're kidding. Yes. Terrell Newby with the run. Hey, he was spitting some nice lyrics. They're pretty hot. He got that fire, as the kids say. Kirby makes the stop on the 5-yard game. Let's go downstairs to Quint.
Clock management right here, gentlemen. I was surprised that Nebraska didn't call timeout late in that last Miami possession.
And a little motion up front. Looked like Newby moved a little early in the backfield.
Well, Quinn, I see the point. I think they wanted to hang on.
Ball start. The offensive line moved prior to the snap of the ball. 5-yard penalty. Second
I think
down.
they wanted to hang on to the 3 timeouts and felt like 2 minutes or 1:40 with 3 timeouts would be sufficient given where they were on the field. They were hoping to get the ball back around the 30-35, but great return by Westerkamp.
Ball back on Nebraska's side at midfield, 2nd and 10. Carter in motion, now sets. Armstrong. Westerkamp, his roommate, makes the catch at the 30-yard line. Back to Cassidy in the studio.
Mark, Rod, not trying to fool you on this play. Just want to show you what a beast Leonard Fournette is. Already has 169 yards rushing in the first half, and this TD. Fournette has at least 100 yards of TD in each of his last 4 games. LSU running all over Auburn. Mark, Rod, back to you.
All right, Cassidy. Well, that penalty, hands to the face on the offense. So that catch by Jordan Westerkamp will not stand. That's 7 penalties now against Nebraska for 65 yards, and that one really stings, Rod.
Well, yeah, I mean, otherwise they've got 1st and 10 at the Miami 30-yard line and a couple of timeouts. Right now, this is starting to look pretty bad. 2nd and 25. They've got to be concerned about going backwards and giving the ball back to Miami.
Armstrong keeping his play alive and going to run for the sidelines. Pushed out of bounds. No flag thrown. Raphael Kirby, the leader of that defense, limits the game to 6.
I'm surprised they didn't throw a flag. I mean, Armstrong clearly had given himself up and was heading out of bounds. And it looked like, I'm not sure it was an aggressive hit. Yeah, that's enough of a push.
He was 2 yards in bounds, though, still, wasn't he, when he put hands on him?
I thought his hands got on him out of bounds.
Well, considering what happened last year between these two teams, it's nice to see nothing develop from that. 3rd and 19. Nebraska has to get all the way to the Miami 41. Armstrong on the move again. Under duress, completes it. And they get the 1st down. Great catch by Stanley Morgan Jr. With a minute to go, Armstrong fires a dart for 28 yards.
Armstrong's feet. We talked about keeping him in the pocket. Miami failed to do that with their 4 pass rushers. That was their goal, keep him in the pocket. He got outside and he hurt them.
Armstrong again going to pass. Complete. Down to the 26-yard line. That's Ethan Carter, the tight end.
You got timeouts. You have 3 timeouts. You can use one now.
And
Nebraska.
Nebraska calls a timeout.
30-second timeout.
Tommy Armstrong with a couple of nice passes there. Gets them within field goal range. Well, the Muppets are back, folks, on TV like you've never seen them before. Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, and all the rest, plus amazing human guest stars as well. The Muppets premieres this Tuesday night at 8, 7 Central on ABC.
You do know that Miss Piggy dumped Kermit?
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was big news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to get up on the Muppet stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us were crushed by that.
Hey, there's no way to segue to the quarterback Armstrong, so I'm just going to go right to him. My dad told me people born square don't die round, okay? Hugh Jones, all 90 years of him, says people born square, Mark, don't die round. Can Armstrong change who he is as a quarterback, Rod, in learning this new system of Mike Riley's?
Well, I think so, because Riley is keeping some of the old offense for him. And remember, Armstrong ran some West Coast offense in high school. So being a bit of a pocket passer and yet keeping the ability to be a guy with some quarterback design runs, it's fitting. It's working for him, because Riley didn't come in and say, you know what, everything you've done in the past, we're scrapping it and we're going with my system. He's blended 2 systems to work for him.
What does it look like? How will it manifest itself on the field when we know that Armstrong has totally come over and made that conversion? Is it the type of throw he can make? Is it what he's calling?
Well,
what is he?
We'll see more pocket passes with him. And we've seen some of that, but he's had to come out of the pocket because of pressure. But when we see the pocket passes and you see the zone read concept, the quarterback power plays, that's the full effect of that offense that they've blended the 2 different styles together.
Well, there he is, Armstrong on 2nd down and 3, and now a little shade coming over Sun Life Stadium. They expected a little bit of rain today. Please don't send me any notes on the short sleeves, folks. It's about survival here in the 95-degree heat.
Are you saying I'm cooler?
On 2nd and 3, Armstrong flushed out. And he's got an alley. Turned it upfield. And he makes it all the way down to the 14-yard line with 40 seconds to go. He picked up 12.
Plenty of time. 2 timeouts. You can take shots to the end zone and be careful with them. You can even throw over the middle. You've got time.
Touchdown here would be huge for the Cornhuskers.
Westerkamp is the guy that I'd have the most confidence in. He hasn't dropped anything, and he's been tough.
He lines up in the slot. Armstrong goes the other way, and that is the 4th drop of the day by his receivers. That time, Newby, the perpetrator.
I think Westerkamp should go back to the huddle and demand the football. Demand the ball. He's the guy that ignited them with the punt returns. He had a big catch that was called back. He took a big shot to get it. Ask for the football.
That happened a lot?
Oh, yeah. Where are we? Miami? How many times do you think Michael Irvin asked for the football?
You got a point. He's certainly got enough equity in the team. 6-foot junior. Second leading receiver last year behind Kenny Bell. Let's go down to Quint. Now let's get to Quint after this. And again, some motion up front. And it looks like, well, they called a timeout just in time as we go downstairs to Quint.
Cornhuskers are struggling with game management. That play call didn't come into the huddle until 10 seconds to go on the play clock. You could see the frustration on Tommy Armstrong Jr.'s face. They get up to the line of scrimmage late, and that's when mistakes are made. Mike Riley bailing his offense out with a timeout. Just everyone not on the same page.
Yeah, Quint, that's a wasted timeout then. They have to know that situation better and get that play in there and ready to go. But to waste a timeout down here, that's huge. If you don't get what you need right now, if they come away with a field goal because they run out of clock, it's because of this blown situation with that timeout.
How much of a function is that of being a first-year coach on the sidelines with a new group? Yes, no, maybe?
No, I mean, these are all the guys that he's coached with for years at Oregon State and other places. They know each other. They know their routine. That's about the flow of information from the coaches to the field.
From the 14, 2nd and 10. Armstrong into the end zone and picked off. Artie Burns with his 3rd interception of the year. Burns looked more like the receiver than Morgan Jr.
You see Armstrong looking up at the screen to see what happened. Well, what happened was he and the receiver were not on the same page. That ball was thrown out to the corner as a fade route, and his receiver was inside, and Artie Burns became the receiver. Look, his receiver is inside. That's Morgan inside. This ball is thrown outside as if it were a fade.
And Artie Burns with his 3rd pick of the year. Artie Burns out of Miami's Northwestern High School. A hurdler, by the way, on the UM track team. Runs a world-class time of about 13:35. Ran that actually as a high schooler.
He just kept Nebraska off the board. They had a chance to tack on at least a field goal, maybe a touchdown, and he just snuffed that out with that pick.
Yeah, that's a dream killer. There's a look at Burns. Talked about his world-class speed. Another one of those local products. Timeout down in the field, meanwhile, but he went to Northwestern High School. Al Golden has done a good job in the last year and a bit, especially in being able to procure homegrown talent here.
Well,
down here in South Florida.
You're right, and I think his goal is, since he's got a lot of young talent, he wants to be around to coach that young talent the next couple of years.
Right.
And I think the prevailing theory down here, if you believe what's written in the papers and what you hear in talk radio, is that he's got to win his division, you know, to be around here next year or so.
Yeah.
He's got a contract that goes through 2019. But all the rhetoric you hear is, hey, win the division, get to the ACC championship game, or else.
I'm going to give you a little history, a little musical history. You know who coached at Northwestern High School? Luke Campbell.
Luke Campbell,
He coached Artie Burns. That was his position coach. He was very supportive of the UM program and is one of the great Little League Pop Warner programs in South Florida, the Liberty City Optimists. 10 of them in the NFL as we speak.
Fair to say that folks who don't know about him just need to catch one of the 30-30s on Miami.
Yes.
The U.
Yes, sir. Burns with the pick, stifling that drive. Kaya with a strong first half. He was 14 of 23 with time winding down now in the first half. Scott with a bunch of big catches on the other end 5 of them for 114 yards.
That's the end of the first half. Your score, the Hurricanes 20, the Cornhuskers 3.
Nebraska will depart the field first as both teams leave the field through the same tunnel.
Hey, remember, it got really chippy last year at Nebraska. We haven't had any of that so far today.
It has been a cleanly played game. Let's go downstairs to Quint.
Coach, how would you best describe the play of your quarterback, Brad Kaya?
Yeah, we're playing hard. You know, he's seeing it really well. You know, we had 2 red zone penalties and that sack. Other than that, we'll get that cleaned up. But Brad's seeing it really well, and he's taking his shots down the field like we wanted to.
Yeah, how have you manufactured the big plays in the passing offense?
He's just getting the ball to a lot of guys. You know, I don't know who all has had touches, but I know it's been a lot of guys on our offense. Tight ends, backside of the backfield, and multitude of wide receivers.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you,
Jonesy.
Coach Golden's team showing out here in the first half. We'll get you back to the studio after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the ACC on ESPN here at Sun Life Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. Miami Hurricanes leading 20-3 as we get ready to start the third quarter of play. The Canes looking to improve to 3-0. Mark Jones, sleeves on.
Nice jacket.
He's Rod Gilmore. Quint Kesenick down in the sidelines joining us in just a bit. Rod, when you look at the first and second quarter, they were like different games in a sense. What do you think that was all about?
Well, I think there were some good things that you got out of Nebraska in the second quarter. They got some stops. They brought some pressure. They got better corner play. But they kept dropping the ball. I mean, that's killing them. And Miami had a chance to put them away, but they came up short when they got in the red zone and they fell apart a little bit. So we still have a game, but Nebraska's barely hanging on. They've got to come out and get a stop on this first series.
Miami will have possession of the football to begin this third quarter. And it'll come out to the 25-yard line as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Brad Kaya, the starting quarterback for the Hurricanes, was on fire early.
Yeah, he threw for 359 last year in this ball game, and he's off to that kind of a start today. A couple touchdown passes early to get his team going, and he carved them up inside. And then you had a chance to get back into the ball game if you're Nebraska, but we counted 4 drops, and then right before the end of the half, wow, a big pick by Artie Burns kept Nebraska from getting into the end zone, which puts us at the 20-3 margin right now.
First down and 10 from the 25 for Brad Kaya. Comes out slinging, complete to his tight end, Dobard, and Dobard picks up the first down as we go down to Quint.
Self-inflicted wounds, the words of Mike Riley, Nebraska coach. I asked him what was the difference between the first and second quarter. He said really nothing from his estimation. He said we continue to hurt ourselves. Drops, penalties, lack of rhythm, couldn't tie together back-to-back plays on offense or on defense, especially in the coverage department early in that first quarter. So I think in his eyes, everything points in a positive direction now in the third quarter.
All right, Quinton, a burst up the middle by Joe Yearby. Yearby played behind Duke Johnson last year, didn't get a lot of action. Yearby out of Miami Central High School, went to school with one Dalvin Cook, that guy up at Florida State.
Pretty good player.
Yeah. Florida State struggling last night against Boston College, Rods.
Great effort by the Boston College defense. If they can get the other side of the ball going, Boston College is back in the hunt.
First and 10 for Kaya. Complete to the sideline, the near side of the field at the 41 to Rashawn Scott.
There's no pass rush from Nebraska. They got a little bit of pressure in the second quarter when they went to the blitz, but when they just go with 4 down linemen, they're not getting anywhere near Kaya.
Hands it off to Yearby. Yearby with a nice cutback, and the turbo about to kick in. Yearby, touchdown Canes. Yards to the house for Yearby.
He's got such great vision, and when he makes up his mind to go in a certain direction, he plants that foot, and he's on his way.
He can hurt you in so many different ways. A good receiver. We've seen evidence of that already this afternoon. And Miami comes out quickly here in the second half to put a touchdown on the board. 27-3 lead. Welcome back, everyone, to Sun Life Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. The Hurricanes, you know, just when it seems like Nebraska has turned the tide a little bit, they get knocked on their heels again here at the start of the third quarter. And Miami leading 27-3. Canes with a bye next week, looking to go into that bye week with a 3-0 record. And conversely, boy, Nebraska looking to stay. They lose this one. They have plenty of football to go, but 1-2 is not a good look for first-year head coach Mike Riley.
Well, Miami has looked better today than they did the first 2 weeks against inferior competition. I mean, this was a bigger test for them, and they played better than they did the first 2 weeks. You know, amazing.
That was Joe Yearby on the sidelines after his third rushing touchdown of the year. Morgan takes the knee. It'll come out to the 25. Rod, tell us what the key was on that touchdown.
Well, we're hunting linebackers, so be very, very quiet here. There's Young and there's Rose. Both of these guys will be a factor here. Rose gets run out of the picture to get to his gap, and then look, Young gets cut. And when he is cut, Yearby has great vision. He sees that hole, that lane, and he puts a foot in the ground, gets back into that hole, and runs through a would-be tackler. And the back finishing off with the offensive line started up for him.
Let's see how Tommy Armstrong responds after that interception that he threw at the end of the first half in the red zone for Nebraska. They were on the verge of scoring. And that one incomplete as we go down to Quint.
Jonesy, Rod had mentioned how Miami looks much better this week, and you watched that tape last Friday night against FAU up in Boca. You know, that's FAU's Super Bowl. And keep in mind, last week Miami practice twice disrupted in the morning by lightning. Yesterday we were on their campus and we heard the lightning sirens going off all day. They had walkthroughs in the gym. They had walkthroughs in the dance studio, the defense, and the ballet bar, disrupting practice twice last week. So you're seeing a better prepared team.
Dance studio?
Yeah. Even talk of an indoor facility at the University of Miami. Flag down on the play. Receiver Stephen Carter down, and you know, you wouldn't think that you would need an indoor facility with such great weather in this part of the country, but Quint mentioned it. The lightning down here is an issue.
You got to go indoors.
Yep.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 71 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And you tell me, partner, you live in these parts, but it seems like just from our brief stay down here this week, lightning happens a lot.
Yes, one of the more unfortunate statistics is that the state of Florida leads the country in deaths by lightning strikes, so it's something that's taken very seriously when the horns at different schools, public schools, parks, you know, when those sirens go, you go indoors.
You're not selling me on Florida between the lightning and the alligators.
We didn't say anything about the Hurricanes, not the ones on the field either. Little receiver screen and a big hit by Jermaine Grace, gracing Brandon Riley with his shoulder.
If you're counting drops, that would be the 5th one. Little assistance there because Grace is such a powerful player.
Does that get categorized as a drop? Because that's a big hit.
That's a drop.
That's still a drop?
You're going to get hit.
He got stuck, though.
Catch the ball. You're going to get hit whether you catch it or not.
I'm going to beg to differ. I got to give the receiver a little bit of dap on that. 3rd and 15. An option into the boundary. Armstrong keeps it and makes a play with his legs for the first down. That's the other side of the coin for Armstrong.
Well, most of the big plays for Nebraska have come because of his legs. Whether it's getting outside the pocket and making a throw or a design run.
And we have looks like a Hurricane player down in the field, and unfortunately it's Raphael Kirby, the captain and the leading tackler for the Hurricanes defensively coming into this game. 12:57 to go, and there's a look at Tommy Armstrong. You know, you talk about Mike Riley, the head coach, when he first took over. It was interesting. He said that there were three things that he did. He had to get to his recruiting class, get it intact, had to get to know the team a little bit better, and in doing so, he met with Tommy Armstrong. That was the first player that Riley said that he met with to kind of take the temperature of the team and talk about the upcoming bowl game they're about to play. And he said that interim time really helped him establish a good relationship with the starting quarterback.
Well, yeah, people forget when a new coaching staff comes in, they don't have any history with these players. They didn't recruit them. Kirby's up and walking off when he's under his own power. That's good to see. But
is it that big a deal?
Yes. Yes. I went through a couple of coaching changes, and you have the same feeling like this guy doesn't know me from Adam. He didn't come to my high school. He didn't come and meet my parents. And he just walks in. I'm just a guy. How do I know he cares about me or is going to be loyal to me? Which is why you have to be careful how you coach those guys.
Great point. Good insight. Imani Cross in the backfield. First and 10. Here's the jet sweep we've been waiting to see. Riley, who took that big hit a moment ago, brought down just across the 40 by Jermaine Grace. A 3-yard gain on the play. Sets up second and about 7. Haven't seen much of that jet sweep in the ball game so far. That's really one of the signatures of what Riley likes to do at times, right?
I think he feels he doesn't have the personnel for it. I think he's missing one or two key guys he would like to have run that for him.
Second down and 6. Newby back in the ball game at tailback. Armstrong hands it off to Newby. He made a couple of nice moves across the 45. It sets up about 2.5 yards to go for the first down.
You know, you mentioned that fly sweep. Pearsonell is the guy that Mike Riley wants to use in that situation, and he's been hurt, and he wanted to be back for this game against Miami. He played in it last year, and he recognizes the rivalry, but not having him hurts this offense.
3rd and 3. They're going to throw it. Flags down. Pass broken up at the 48-yard line, intended for Alonzo Moore. Dion Bush was there to break it up. Let's see what this flag is all about. Here's the call.
Sideline warning. Charge to the defense. Because it's their second of the game, it carries a 5-yard penalty, which results in a first down.
An incredulous looking Al Golden on the sidelines. How does that happen, Rod? Give me a little insight.
Well, you know, it's a new rule this year that you get a warning the first time, and the second time you don't listen to the refs and get out of the way, you get the 5-yard penalty. Now, eventually they'll give you a 15-yarder if you keep ignoring them on it. And part of the reason that rule has been enhanced is because of the fact they've had officials running in that white border stripe, and they get knocked over. They get knocked over by players or coaches that are hanging out there and they're not supposed to. And they've been warned. And so it costs Miami a first down.
Yeah. And Nebraska retains possession from midfield, down 27-3. Cross in the ball game, and he got rocked. No gain at the line of scrimmage.
Jenkins is unblockable at times. I mean, you don't often find a defensive line with 3 guys over 300 pounds. And Jenkins is one of those guys. He is a load up front.
This Miami defense has kept that Nebraska offense in check for the most part, albeit there have been some drops by the Nebraska receivers. 2nd and 10 of Cornhuskers. Armstrong. Boy, how did he escape from that pressure? Still on the move, and Armstrong gets the first down. Tommy Armstrong doing it with his legs to pick up 11.
It's about his legs. And this is really what this offense is needed. When things have broken down, he's saved them, but they haven't had any continuity. Miami's only bringing 4. They're not blitzing, but those 4 are not containing him. They are creating avenues for him to step up, step under, and get away.
from the 38. They hand it off to Newby, faking the jet sweep. And another good gain by Nebraska across the 30. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
So, Jonesy, what the defensive coaches with Miami have to do, they have to remind their ends, their defensive ends, do not go so far up the field. Flatten out. Just stop. Don't go 8 yards up the field. You get to 4 or 5, stop, and then start squeezing in. But the further you go up the field, the wider the lane you create to allow him to step up and scramble and get a first down.
How hard is that to do?
Well, try telling a guy going real fast to stop.
We're going to see, yeah.
It's hard, yeah.
2nd and 1. Armstrong complete. Cotton made. Catch made at the 23 by Brandon Riley, and a Miami player shaken up on the play. Riley picked up 7. And that's number 5, Jermaine Grace, from nearby Miami Gardens, Florida.
I think he got hit by one of his own players. I think a teammate hit him as he was trying to make a tackle. And there it is. Yeah, it's Bush. Bush hits Grace.
We're going to take a break and come right back. Rod and Quid out there on the beach this morning doing their Baywatch thing, and we're back here at Sun Life Stadium.
Completely innocent exercise.
Nebraska taking on Miami. Miami at 2-0 coming in. Nebraska at 1-1, and Miami dominating this game offensively, courtesy of Brad Kaya putting up some impressive numbers. 1st down and 10 for Nebraska driving. Armstrong escapes and fires. Touchdown, Westerkamp. What a Houdini act by Tommy Armstrong. Fires one to his roommate.
What a tough kid Westerkamp is. He knew he was going to take some hits down there, and he's the guy that has been probably the most inspirational, toughest guy on the field for Nebraska today, and they should have gotten the ball to him more. And Armstrong did a great job of staying alive long enough to find him in the end zone.
Nebraska trying to creep back into this ball game. Brown with the extra point. Knocks it through, and for Armstrong, that was his 6th touchdown pass this season, the 37th of his career. Westerkamp, whose dad Bob played wide receiver at Illinois, and right now Westerkamp stunting like his daddy. And the Huskers trying to make a move when we come back to Miami. Nebraska with a 10-play, 75-yard scoring drive in just under 5 minutes, answering the earlier touchdown by Miami to keep pace with the Hurricanes here in the 3rd quarter. And the big play, the pivotal one that kept it alive, with that sideline penalty against Miami, gave Nebraska that 1st down. And they're going to take it out. Walton stopped up short of the 15-yard line. And right now, let's take a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Still very fluid, very early, and keep in mind that these rankings have nothing to do with the playoff, but they're fun. We like them. Ohio State, pretty much unanimous. Alabama up tonight. Keep an eye on Michigan State. They seem to be hanging around. They got a big date with Ohio State later in the year. And how about Notre Dame? Georgia Tech, they're facing off today. Notre Dame with so many injuries. Can they hang in the top 10?
Walton in a tailback on 1st and 10. Kaya led his team into the end zone last drive. A short pass completed to 16 to Herb Waters. Rod, let's get back to, we touched on a little bit earlier in the ACC. Florida State last night goes up to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and it wasn't the walkover that some people might have expected.
Yeah, and if you watch Louisville and Clemson Thursday night, you didn't come away from it thinking that Clemson was a lock to win the ACC. I think a lot of folks now are looking at Georgia Tech going, that may be the best team in the ACC.
2nd down and 6. Kaya fires the completion. Scott lunging with a great second effort for the first down as we go to the studio in Cassidy.
Mark Rod, an update on Ohio State and Northern Illinois after a J.T. Barrett pick. Ohio State's fourth turnover. Their defense picks up the slack. Darren Lee pick 6 to give the Buckeyes a 20-10 lead. This game can be seen on ABC or ESPN2.
All right, Cassidy back here after the 7-yard pickup, 1st and 10 from the 29 for Miami, looking for their 3rd win of the season. This is Mark Walton, a true freshman from Miami, a 2-yard gain.
You know, that Ohio State score reminds you that players are human.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking, 18 to 22-year-olds and classes and girlfriends and breakups, and you just can't pencil in a 35-point win every week, can you?
Ask Auburn, right? Last week?
Oh, yeah.
Jacksonville State. 2nd and 8. Kaya. Scott makes the catch on a throw that looked to be behind him. Out to the 35-yard line, working against Chris Jones. Another first down for the Hurricanes, and Kaya looks like he's grabbing the back of his leg there.
Yeah, like he has a hamstring issue or so.
There's the backup quarterback, Malik Rozier. Number 12 you saw momentarily on the sidelines. Kaya kind of stretching that right leg out, and in that heat, of course, cramping always a possibility. We're not saying that that's what it is, but he has completed his last 5 passes. This is Walton. And Walton gains about 4. Kaya still working that right leg. Appears to be in a little bit of discomfort. Looking at the sidelines.
But, they asked him if he wanted to come out. He said no. He shook his head. So he thinks he's okay. And we'll see the next time he has to take a drop and throw how comfortable he is.
Well, we're not going to see it on that one. He hands it off to Walton, who stopped up trying to get to the edge, and it's going to be 3rd down and about 8 to go for Miami. Rose Ivy making the stop on the play. Brad Kaya's dad is a screenwriter. His mom played Felicia in the legendary urban classic comedy Friday, which was produced by Ice Cube. Those of you that have seen the movie remember Felicia, the character. That is Brad Kaya's mom. And they are...
That's one of your favorite movies.
Oh, yeah. When Chris Tucker says, how are you going to get fired on your day off? Well, Kaya certainly with a flair for the dramatic so far. And speaking of drama, Pac-12 rivals tonight on ABC in an important early season conference test in the Coliseum. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Stanford taking on number 6 USC tonight at 8 on ABC and live streaming on Watch ESPN. What do you make of that series, Rod? You're a Stanford guy. You know about how competitive that can be.
Well, ever since 2007, I guess it was, when Jim Harbaugh got the 43-point upset, these two teams have played very close games. The last 4 you see decided by 7 points or less. Ever since that what's your deal game, and Harbaugh and Pete Carroll shook hands, Stanford kind of owned the series, and USC has won the last couple, and those last 2 were won by field goals by USC in the 4th quarter. Expect something similar tonight.
Blitz coming by Nebraska. Kaya picked it up. Got a hot receiver. What a catch over the shoulder by Brady. Circus is in town.
Remember back in the 1st quarter when Kaya overthrew his receiver on a deep ball like that. And we said he didn't give him a chance. He didn't put enough air underneath it. He learned from that throw and made the adjustment and gave Brady a chance.
Walton runs it between the tackles, cutting it back after that 35-yard gain. Walton picks up about 4 or 5. 2nd down coming up. But a big play that time by the Hurricanes offensively.
And what a tremendous catch.
Al Golden certainly with some talent on the field. Looking to improve to 3-0. Lawrence Cager split wide to the top of your screen. They're going to hand it off to Walton. Walton moving that pile just a little bit, not enough to get the first down. He's going to be about 1.5 yards short with 3rd down coming up, partner. And a pensive look on Al Golden's countenance. Calling it 3rd and 2.
Well, Walton's in the backfield. About 195-pounder, good inside runner. Better receiver in my opinion. I like where he catches the football, but I think in this situation, probably let him run it.
And he does. Does he ever? Touchdown, Walton. But there's a flag down on the play, so hold on a minute.
Holding. Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Going to bring this one back. They're going to push it all the way back to the 14 after the penalty.
Keep your eyes right there. That's where it happens. There's a complete tackle and takedown, grab outside the shoulders. That'll get 7 points taken off the board.
Back to the 24 now. Under 4 minutes to go. And with 4 seconds to go on the play clock,
Timeout.
Miami calls a timeout. And
They're first.
Al Golden hot, and not because of the weather, folks, if you know what I mean. This week on Monday Night Football, AFC foes clash as the New York Jets will try to slow down the Indianapolis Colts. Jets-Colts 8:15 Eastern Monday night on ESPN. You talk about the Colts. You got Philip Dorsett, former wide receiver here for the Miami Hurricanes. First-round pick last year. Frank Gore now with the Colts, and Andre Johnson as well. So
I'm still waiting for the one guy you got to mention for me. There's only one guy I'm focused on in that ballgame. Andrew Luck.
Oh, that guy.
That guy.
He didn't go to Miami.
I don't care.
3rd and 6. Kaya has connected on his last 6 passes. On a bad wheel at that. Slings it incomplete at the 3. No flag on the play intended for Waters. Well defended by Chris Jones. And 4th down coming up for the Hurricanes. Michael Badgley comes in to kick a field goal. He's connected twice today from 23 and 27. This one from 41 yards out. And he drills it through. Miami leads 30-10 with 3:42 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Well, they took the touchdown off the board, but still managed to get a field goal out of it. Some explosive plays today by the Hurricanes offensively. They came early.
Yeah, well, Miami's done a great job of this, Scott, on a key catch and run that set up a touchdown pass. And how about this beauty to Waters from Kaya on this little drop-off over the middle again to Scott. And Yerby busting one up the middle, running through a tackle. And finally, you saw this great catch just a few minutes ago. Tyler Brady, great catch over the shoulder, but a number of big plays by Miami's offense. That's really been the difference in this ball game. Remember, Nebraska came in with 51 plays of 10 yards or more. They have 5 today, and that was after they fell way behind.
Does that speak to what Miami's doing defensively?
Well, that and some drop passes, some penalties, some of the self-inflicted wounds Mike Riley talked about at halftime.
from the 3-yard line. Nebraska going to run this. This is Stanley Morgan Jr. and Jr. down to the 24 as we go down to Quint.
Tackling, Jonesy. That's what Al Golden told me yesterday when I asked him what is one absolute key to beating Nebraska. He said tackling. Week 1 against Bethune-Cookman, it wasn't good. It was only about 76%. It improved to about 86% last week against FAU. Today it's been much, much better, especially out in space. Miami now playing a lot of zone defense in the second half with the lead, worried about Tommy Armstrong scrambling. It's about coming up and making tackles.
All right, Quint, and we'll see how they tackle on this sequence with Nebraska looking to respond for the second time after Miami's second touchdown of the third quarter here. Janovich in motion, now Sept. Armstrong eludes the rush, throws it up for grabs. Out of bounds, almost intercepted by Elder. Good heat up front by Tyreek McCord, number 17, applying the pressure. And 2nd and 10 for Nebraska. Talk about Miami safeties. Some great ones through the years. Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, the late Sean Taylor. For both these storied programs, they're looking to get back to relevance. Hoping to take a small step this afternoon. Armstrong, Westerkamp, complete, tiptoes and into Miami territory. Rod, when we were watching tape earlier, you said you like the way he'll do things. It may not look pretty, but he completes passes, right?
Well, Armstrong is not technically the most sound quarterback. His feet may not be in the proper position. His shoulder may be pointing the wrong way. But ultimately, he finds a way. Even if he's off the back foot or something, he's got such a whip for an arm, such a cannon. He still gets there. Look, he's fading back here, almost a jump throw, but that ball is on the money.
1st and 10 at the 45 for Miami, 31 yards. Newby tripped up after a gain of about 2 on the play. But just joining us, Terrell Newby, number 34, the reigning Big Ten co-offensive player of the week. Former high school teammate, friend, ace, ride or die buddy with Brad Kaya, the quarterback, both out of Los Angeles.
It's a shame. He hasn't had as many touches tonight. Part of that's the way the ball game has gone, but we'd like to see him get 20, 15, 18 touches in a straight-up matchup against his old buddy.
For the play action, Armstrong with tons of time. Pass incomplete. At the 23, Elder in on the coverage of Stanley Morgan Jr.
Should that have been a catch?
Another one? You're hard on those receivers, man.
You get your hands on it.
Let me see.
You got to catch that one.
Yeah, you're right.
Got to catch that one.
You're right on that one.
That's 6 drops and counting. And all of them have mattered. They've stopped drives. They've changed field position.
Got a player shaken up at the 43-yard line as Mike Riley looks on, the first-year head coach of Nebraska. Tyreek McCord, the shaken up player on the field.
Remember that McCord is in there because of an injury that happened earlier in the week.
Yeah, Darren
Owens. Yeah.
You know, we've seen Miami had that big interception at the end of the first half. One of the important stats always, Rod, is, as you know, the turnover ratio. Miami coming into the ball game was a +6. That was tied for number 1 in the nation amongst FBS schools. The interception today, I mean, this defense, which has been highly scrutinized, has come up with plays today.
Well, they're better up front. They've always had speed. They've got better speed now, particularly at the linebacking spot. And they've gotten good play out of the secondary. You know, they've been in position to contest deep passes. They haven't always made those, but they've been in position and close enough.
3rd and 8. Armstrong brought down at the 37. Trent Harris got there first.
That was pressure. Miami dialed up a blitz. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they couldn't keep him out. Gayot was a nice run over the would-be tackler on the right side to force Armstrong straight back. And everybody showed up in the backfield.
They had a party back there, and Armstrong is incensed on the sidelines. Fourth and 29. And Fultz hunt them down at the 19 to Elder, and Elder with a nice 16-yard punt return after the 45-yard punt. Well, let's take a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate. And there have been a couple to choose from, Parker.
Yeah, but this one I like, as a former DB. This was right before the half. Artie Burns making a big pick, which kept Nebraska right before the half from getting any points. More than likely kept them from getting a touchdown. And that changed momentum going into the half.
Miami came out and scored on their first drive of the second half, and have already scored a couple of touchdowns in this third quarter. Yearby in a tailback. First and 10. And Kaya might have had that ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, or would Yearby back into his own man? That looked rather awkward in the backfield.
I'm not sure there's a better quarterback in the ACC based on what we've seen in person today and what we've seen on tape for this young man. True freshman, started last year and has grown by leaps and bounds already in this short season.
And 26 touchdowns last year to lead the conference. Hands it off to Yearby, who dances over the 35, brought down at the 36-yard line. And it was interesting, Al Golden talking about the lineage and how it's an asset to the program. In Brad Kaya's second scrimmage at the University of Miami as a freshman, there's Gino Torretta, Heisman Trophy winner. There's Bernie Kosar dropping in to say hello and say, hi, kid, how you doing? How things going for you? I mean, it's a great asset to have.
No pressure.
No pressure.
This is what the quarterback standard is here. You got to measure up to it.
Never thought about it that way, but
well,
that could be a good thing, though.
It's been a long time since Miami's had an elite quarterback.
Great place to start. 3 on the play clock. They got to get it off in time, and they may not have. And Al Golden called timeout just before it expired.
Miami, their second of the half. 30-second timeout.
Looking at 3rd and 9. And folks, rankings, revenge, and early conference supremacy are at stake when Ole Miss meets Alabama tonight. After the game, SportsCenter has you covered with a complete post-game wrap-up plus highlights and analysis from Week 3. SportsCenter at night tonight after Ole Miss and Alabama on ESPN. Who are you picking in that game? I want to ask you who you like in that one. The revenge
I like Alabama.
One? Yeah,
I like Alabama. I'm not sold on Alabama as a number 1 or number 2 team yet. I think right now there's Ohio State, and then there are 4 or 5 other teams that are in the mix for number 2. The question about Alabama is really at quarterback, and is Jake Coker going to be the guy, and is he going to handle things if Ole Miss shuts down the rushing attack? Or will there be problems? If there are problems, Ole Miss defensively is good enough to really shut down what Alabama likes to do, which is run the football.
3rd down and 9. That game later tonight. Flag down. Kaya throws it behind his receiver, Herb Waters. Pardon me. That was Dobard. Either way, it's incomplete.
Illegal formation. Too many men in the backfield by the offense. Number 66 was not on the line of scrimmage. That 5-yard penalty is declined, bringing up 4th down.
You feel like Miami's just getting a little sloppy, a little complacent. Yeah, not that edge they had in the first half. And this is an issue. You got to learn how to close out games. And they've allowed Nebraska to kind of hang around here.
Did the same thing against FAU. Quint?
Right, the feeling I get down here is that just calling this game conservatively with the lead. They've gotten away from chucking the ball down the field, which is where they had all their success.
Interesting point. And they came after Justin Vogel, the punter, that time. They didn't get there. Westerkamp with a fair catch. back at the 16-yard line where it'll be 1st down and 10 after that 47-yard punt.
Well, calling the game conservatively isn't going to benefit you if you're also lethargic about the way you're going about it. I mean,
coming out of a timeout to have that kind of penalty.
Yeah. They've just been kind of sloppy the last 3 or 4 minutes. And I think Golden, he gets it. He understands that, and you got to find a way to get that right. Nebraska, you know, you get a big play, and you're 2 scores down, you're alive in the 4th quarter.
A lot of work to do for the Cornhuskers. Got to be expedient about it. 13 seconds to go here in the 3rd quarter. Clouds now over Sun Life Stadium. And a big overthrow by Tommy Armstrong with 8 seconds to go now in the 3rd. Hey, you know what the good thing about this game is so far?
What do you got?
We haven't had a lightning delay. Did I just jinx us?
You are far too much of a veteran to do something like that. Seriously?
They've had 2 of them so far. The Hurricanes have had 2 games and 2 lightning delays against Bethune-Cookman and
you're on the clock now.
I'm sorry, man. You can put it on me if it happens. Armstrong again out of the shotgun. Ball up in the air. Caught, picked off miraculously by Deion Bush.
I think that's a top 10 play. You get a pick while you're lying down on your back. Hello, Sports Center.
Tracy Howard with the hit on Brendan Riley, and the ball went up in the air right there, Rod.
Yeah, watch this, though. He is spun around and still has the presence of mind to keep his head in the air looking for the ball as he's spinning around on the ground. Nice.
Hashtag SC Top 10. We'll continue with this after this message from our ABC stations. A little cloudy here at Sun Life Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida, as we come back for the start of the 4th quarter. The Hurricanes leading 30-10. This is the first play of the period. Off that interception a moment ago, Kaya completes that pass to Christopher Herndon, number 23, and another Miami 1st down, a 12-yard gain. Well, whatever discomfort he was experiencing in that leg seems to be allowing him to at least pass it okay, Rod.
An opportunity to get more on the board. He seems to be moving all right. They got a chance to kind of put this one away.
Had a career day last year against Nebraska in Lincoln. Yearby looking for a little crease. Gains about 3 down to the 7-yard line. Cager split wide to the bottom of your screen here. Stacy Coley inside of him, number 3. Ball tipped up and incomplete. Tipped by Nate Gary. And that sets up an interesting 3rd and 7. They've run it once, followed by an incomplete pass. Now what?
Well, we did see that they've got a couple of guys that are pretty good with getting up in the air. Scott being one of those guys. Njoku, another one. And they're spreading out here. You could go for a fade or a jump ball with one of those guys.
Waters, number 6 there, is all of 6'2". He throws it up top into the end zone. Intercepted by Nebraska. Kalu with the pick. That snuffs the Miami drive, and a clutch turnover by Nebraska this time. Their 3rd of the season.
Well, they tried to throw this one up for Dobard. Not a great ball thrown here, but great effort by Kulu to hang in there, and Nebraska still alive.
Tonight on ABC, Pac-12 rivals clash in an important early season conference test in the Coliseum. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Stanford taking on number 6 USC tonight on 8 at ABC and streaming live on Watch ESPN at 8 o'clock tonight. Armstrong through a rope that was knocked down by Tyreek McCord. Boy, McCord has been all over the field tonight.
Yeah, and that was not an easy play. I mean, he was the outside linebacker on that side, and his job was to get underneath that throw to the flat. And boy, did he really work hard. A lot of effort to get out there and get his hand on it.
McCord going to come out of the ball game. 2nd down and 10 for Nebraska. Little option football here. Armstrong kept it. As brought down at the 21-yard line by Chad Thomas, and his helmet came off, and
he's got to come out.
He would have to come out of the ball game.
Yeah. What do you make of things for Nebraska as we see their backup Fife get ready to come in here?
Yeah.
You know, this will be a 1-2 start, assuming this score holds. A loss to BYU.
And you look at their schedule: South Alabama next week, and I'm sorry, Southern Miss next week. At Illinois, at home against Wisconsin, at Minnesota, Northwestern. I don't know. It seems to be a team still searching. 3rd and 9. Parker Fife in at quarterback, and not sure what happened to the play clock. Nebraska calls a timeout.
Prior to the expiration of the play clock, Nebraska called timeout. They're first.
Well, if Nebraska goes back home to Lincoln 1-2 and then faces this schedule, you know, you look at the schedule in the big picture, the good thing is they don't have to play Ohio State for what it's worth, Rod.
Yeah, well, you start looking down the road, and certainly the Michigan State game might not be pretty. The Wisconsin game might not be pretty. But other than that, you go, well, you know, they have a shot in those other games.
Illinois, a team that's struggling.
Yeah.
But it is like the fan base here in South Florida and the Miami Hurricanes. These Nebraska fans that travel so well, as you can see there on your screen, it's a demanding fan base.
About 10,000 of them or so made it down here for this game.
Yeah, unbelievable. Quint?
Jonesy, Rod mentioned it earlier. One positive for Nebraska down the road is the return of DeMornay Pearson-El, who's a playmaker, a guy you're going to see on jet screens, jailbreak screens, a threat down the field. You know, from what I see on the field today, they just don't have anyone who can stretch the field on offense. They don't have a pass rusher on defense, and their secondary still gets, exploited deep too much.
Need playmakers. 3rd and 9. Looking for a play here. Armstrong, who's back in the game after the timeout, overthrows his receiver, number 10, Jamel Turner. You know, it's 4th and long.
You know, Quint's on the money with all of those comments. I think the one thing that Nebraska can be a little bit happier about is that their cornerback play got better when Jonathan Rose came on the field. He and Kulu together kind of took away those deep passes that Miami successfully had in the first half. You know, Daniel Davey, you see him on the field there, really had a tough time in the first quarter, had a tough time the last couple of weeks. So they may have felt like they found a little bit of an answer on the outside there. But then you got to get Davey back. They're going to need him at some point.
Cornelder fields it after juggling it at the 30. And a nice return out beyond the 40-yard line. An 11-yard return on that 51-yard punt. Kaya at the controls when we come back. Lots of great places to take recruits when you bring them to the University of Miami. And a lot of great championship lineage. 5 national championships dating from '83 to 2001. And if you ask the Hurricane Nation, it should have been back-to-back. 2001, 2002. That pass complete over the middle into Nebraska territory to Njoku.
If you ask Hurricane Nation now, they just want to get back to that kind of standard, those championships. It's been a long time since they've been in the discussion about relevant postseason, whether it was the BCS, the old system, or the playoff system now.
First down and 10. Little receiver screen, and he could go. Waters pushed out of bounds, and a touchdown saving play and a good block. Rashawn Scott got out in front of him.
And you're right. The entire play is the block that happens right there by Scott. He actually kept two guys away from Waters. That often goes unnoticed, what teammates do to open up holes for the guy with the football.
First and 10 from the 20. Mark Walton in the backfield. Kaya over the middle. Almost intercepted. Intended for Stacy Coley. Byerson Cockrell broke it up.
So where's Miami's rushing attack?
Great question.
I mean, your fourth quarter, you're up 20. You know, you can run the football a little bit, run some clock.
Keep the clock moving.
Finish out the game. Or is this an Al Golden kind of statement? He wants to get up by 27 or whatever and have a huge, huge win?
Interesting point, Rod. Second down and 10. Brad Kaya back to pass again. Eludes the rush and misfires. Stops the clock. Yeah, what do you make of this strategy? Well, I mean, you got two talented backs in here, being Walton and even Gray.
Well, and they're young guys, too, and you'd like to get them some work. And I'd be a little bit worried about the fact that my quarterback, who was limping around in the third quarter, is out here, and he's a little bit under duress. I mean, he's not finding guys, and he's having to get out of the pocket. I wouldn't want to take any chances with him at this point. Keep him safe. You got a week coming off. You know, get back and go.
Kaya's thrown it 39 times already.
And I think that should be it. A 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, 39 passes in the bank. That's probably enough.
And back to pass again. That's a catch and complete to Rashawn Scott. And we're going to say that's short of the first down. Well, you know, at some point the chorus of boos would shower down on the field from the Miami fans. It's just the way it is with the high expectations.
Are you saying they just want something to boo about?
Oh, yeah. It is a tough town when it comes to the expectations for the Hurricanes. Badgley with the field goal good. Expectations, they keep flying banners, folks. You wouldn't know that they're on the verge of being 3-0, but in Dade County, it's kind of hard on the boulevard sometimes. Okay.
Ah, career high?
Yep.
Nice. Is that what they were looking for? I mean, really?
Yeah, really. Hey. And back in the come out to the 25-yard line as we take a look at today's AT&T strong performance.
All about the Miami defense, and if you're a Miami fan, what you will love about this, that all these plays are great effort plays. Ball thrown, ball caught, but they don't give up. They come in and make a big hit. One more big hit. 3 or 4 times they knock the ball loose, and then right before the half, how about a pickoff by Artie Burns? And then how about that wonderful play by Dion Bush that will probably get him on a top 10 on the Sports Center.
Well, Nebraska, about 11 minutes to work with and a lot of work to do. Armstrong has gone the distance at quarterback. Hand it off to Newby. Newby driven back. 2-yard gain on the play. Second down and 8. Armstrong into traffic and almost intercepted again at the 37-yard line as Cornelder was there to break it up. Intended receiver was Stanley Morgan Jr. Yeah, you know, Rod,
not related to that Stanley Morgan who played in the NFL.
Thought about it for a while, yeah. And another 3rd and long. Armstrong has misfired on his last 6 pass attempts. They flush him out, but he completes it at the 37-yard line. That's going to be enough for first down to Morgan Jr. as we go downstairs to Clint.
In talking to Mike Riley this week, Rod, he said to us, you know, we're still kind of trying to find our identity on offense. And I stand here with about 10 minutes to go in the ball game saying, what is their identity on offense? I'm not quite sure.
Well, yeah, I get it because they're trying to blend 2 styles together.
And here's Newby with the running portion of that style over midfield and into Miami territory. And how long a process do you expect something like this to be?
I don't know. I mean, I think they want to be a tailback-oriented running team and not a quarterback-designed run-driven team. I think the one thing that's improved is you can see Armstrong is better at throwing the football. And he's better outside the pocket and he's better in the pocket. But the rest of it hasn't come together. Part of it's the game. The game got away from him.
Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty, first down.
How much did it take them out of their game plan, do you think, the fact that they fell behind so much by so much so early?
I think that took them away from running Newby, who I think they really want to focus the rushing attack with him. But they were dropping passes. They couldn't sustain drives. They got away from running. They were far behind. And so I think that's forced them into this kind of a hodgepodge of an offense today.
4-receiver formation for Armstrong. Steps up and fires incomplete. Broken up by Cornelder. And late flags on the field.
Unnecessary roughness is apparently what's being called down there. That was Armstrong's 29th pass, 11 of 29 for 135 yards. Make that 11-28 with the penalty on that. Probably 6 drop passes.
At least. As we look back at what happened last year, interesting to note.
Personal foul. Targeting a defenseless player. Defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty. That play is under further review.
Oh, not just unnecessary roughness, but targeting. Now, remember, if you go at a player who is defenseless and you go up above the numbers, yep, he went up above the numbers and got him around the helmet.
Yeah.
You know, that's not just an issue about this game. He's kicked out of this game. Yeah. But remember, for their next ball game, he'll miss the first half of that game.
Yeah.
Now, this is being reviewed by replay to confirm that it's targeting, and Deion Bush realized it right away.
After review, the play stands as called on the field. Number 2 is disqualified for the balance of the game.
Well, Bush, the 6'1" senior, is done for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and the first half of their next game.
They'll get a bye next week, and then the following week take on Cincinnati. Jamal Carter comes in for him.
And remember, the policy, the goal behind this rule is to get these kind of hits out of the game. You don't want people targeting above the numbers. You want to take the head and the head shots out of the game.
Armstrong completes it at the 27-yard line to Tariq Allen. 13-yard gain and a first down for Nebraska. 9:20 to go. Down by 23 points. That pass incomplete. This is the first time that Nebraska's played a regular season game here in Miami in South Florida in decades, in a long time. Of course, they played in the Orange Bowl games, but in terms of a regular season, you'd have to go all the way back to 1951.
Well, I think they should come down here more often. Seriously, it would help them recruit. I mean, they need speedy players from Texas, from California, from Florida.
A good point. Over the middle, there's Westerkamp. Inside the 10, it'll be first and goal. Oh, 1951.
Yeah, Nebraska can't base their recruiting simply on the state of Nebraska. And they don't have enough players there for that.
How similar a situation is that to the one Mike Riley was in prior at Oregon State in terms of, you know, where you're recruiting from, where your base is?
I think it is similar. The improvement for him is that he goes to a place in Nebraska with great facilities, much more passionate fans, more money involved with the program. But from a recruiting standpoint, he'll have the same issue at Nebraska as he had at Oregon State. He needed to go to California while he was at Oregon State. He needed to go to Texas to try to get players. And he'll have to do the same thing in Nebraska, whether that's Texas, Florida, California. He can't rely on in-state recruiting to make it work in Nebraska.
Well, the one thing Nebraska has always had is a pretty esteemed walk-on program to fill in some of the gaps. First and goal for Nebraska. Armstrong. Touchdown, Cornhuskers.
I think that
Alonzo Moore, for the first time today, makes a catch. That's a guy that they're looking on as having a breakout season. He's very talented, but it certainly has taken him a while to become a part of the offense here. That's the third touchdown catch of the year for him and the third of his career.
And that was not an easy catch. He was well covered, had a defensive back draped on him, but he managed to hang in there, look the ball in, and not get distracted and make the catch.
Looks like they're going to set it up on the left hash and go for two here. Newby in the backfield. Armstrong rolls out, finds his man, and they get the 2-point conversion. Ethan Carter with the catch, and it's a 15-point ball game. Armstrong trying to rally his team on that strong arm of his.
Wings on the hood of that Trans Am, and sweet thing, ride the shot.
Welcome back, everyone, to Miami Gardens, Florida. 8:36 to go in the fourth quarter. The Hurricanes leading 33-18 here from Sun Life Stadium. I'm Mark Jones, chopping it up with Rod Gilmore and Quint Kesenick down on the sidelines. The 12th meeting all time between these two storied programs. Nebraska did not go for the onside kick, although it appeared as if they were setting up for it. And Stacy Coley, one of the fastest players on the team, on the kick return, and a nice return out to the 38-yard line, and he's coming up gingerly as he planted that leg. Let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. Some of the cogent points of the game so far. There's a look at the box score.
Yeah, you see Kaya with a great day. 24-40, 366 is a career record for him. He had 359 against Nebraska last year. Scott big on the receiving end of those passes. And Armstrong has actually played pretty well. He's had a number of passes drop. And you see the 2 touchdowns, and he has them down 2 possessions here. So remember that Miami chose to throw the ball last time they were on the field.
Here they run it. Yearby into the boundary, tiptoes out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Got about 7 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Is this the drive you think they need to run the ball?
I think they recognize that last drive they should have been shortening the game by running the football, by throwing and keeping the clock stopped as often as they did. They've given Nebraska a chance.
And we get to on Nebraska's side of the equation in a minute here. They run it again. Yearby got enough for the first down. Why didn't Nebraska go for the onside kick there?
Well, I think they were thinking, look, they only have 2 timeouts. And if you get a 3 and out, you're fine. At 8.5 minutes at the time, 3 and out, you're fine with that. Now you start getting a little bit concerned because they've picked up a first down. They've got to get off the field. As long as they get them off on this series here, they still have a chance. But they can't give up another first down. It just bleeds too much time.
Give it to Yearby again. Keeps those legs moving.
Got about 4 yards.
Well, Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, had the right call. They came with pressure, trying to get that tackle for a loss on first down, but they missed the tackle. They had him in the backfield and didn't get him.
Right now, Mark Walton comes into the ball game, and at some point you might see Gray, the bigger back, at 6'2".
Out of the backfield, this is Walton making the catch, cuts it upfield. And he's putting that defense on blast. Touchdown, Hurricanes. There's a flag down on the field, though.
Holding, offense, number 5. 10-yard penalty, second down.
And they're going to call this one back. Dobard singled out on the hold. This is the second time today that they've had a penalty take a touchdown off the board.
Yeah, you know, and Miami got what they wanted. We talked about it early. They like to get their running backs matched up on linebackers and safeties in the passing game. And you see the matchup out in the flat. Now watch the hold right there. Dobard is just grabbed on to his man. That looks like he's got Cockrell 28, and he's just holding him for a good 5-7 yards.
So with 7:03 to go, they bring it back to the 44-yard line. Walton brought down after a gain of 1 by Malik Collins. Collins, their impact player on that defensive line. And remember, Vincent Valentine out with that ankle injury. He and Collins teaming up to usually form a pretty stout front there.
Yeah, well, here's your shot for Nebraska. And you probably will get a lot of pressure in single coverage. They have no choice. They have to stop the run, so single coverage on the outside.
Kaya puts it up. Got his receiver, Scott. And he makes the catch. No, it's incomplete. Did not come down with it.
But you could see the speed, and you could see what we've talked about all day long. Miami is simply faster than Nebraska. And this is what they did in the first quarter. I think Scott came down with that one.
That's a catch.
I think he caught that. I think he came down with that one.
That looked like a catch.
Yeah. I think he left his feet, got it in the air, and then got a foot in bounds. Okay, he's got it in his hands there. Right foot, left knee. What else do you need? Now,
Did the ball come out
does
when
he
he was
have
already out of
possession
bounds?
when he comes to the ground? You have to complete the act.
It's complete there,
well,
right?
No, he's got to come to the ground. So the official must be saying he did not complete the act because he left his feet. Once you leave your feet, you have to come to the ground with possession of the football.
30-second timeout.
And so initially I looked at it, oh, he's in bounds. But since he left his feet, he has to come back to the ground with possession.
Interesting call. And now Golden, no doubt, looking for the interpretation there from the officials. Well, Miami with no timeouts remaining.
Under further review, the ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
They're looking at this one. The ruling on the field is it's an incomplete pass. Here's one more look at it.
Yeah, and there's no question that he initially grabs the ball in the air and has it, but he has to complete possession as he comes to the ground. He has to complete the act. And so that's the question, is did he have control over the ball as he comes back to the ground here? Does he have control? And the official, who's right there in a great position, is saying, he's right there, he's saying, no, I don't think he had possession and control, and he ruled it incomplete.
It looked like he actually tucked it away.
That's the question. Now, in our replay, did you see enough to overturn what the official on the field saw? And it has to be clear.
Here's the ruling.
After further review, the play stands as called on the field. Incomplete pass.
Yeah.
Fourth down.
Yeah, and that's the right call. And remember, as we looked at it, we thought, oh, he caught it. But again, you have to go to the ground and complete the act because you left the ground. That's the rule. Okay. Not a lot of people like it, but that is the rule.
So it sets up a 4th and 2. So it wipes out a 28-yard gain by Rashawn Scott, who, by the way, folks, is one of the great comeback stories this year for the Miami Hurricanes. Missed all of last year, recovering from surgery on a collarbone injury. 5th-year senior. He's already had one 100-yard receiving game this year. Canes punted. Westerkamp signals for a fair catch right around the 11-yard line as we go back to Cassidy in the studio.
Thanks, Mark. Coming up on ABC, number 6 USC and Cody Kessler hosting Stanford. The last 5 meetings between these teams have each been decided by 1 possession. Should be a great one on 8 Eastern on ABC.
6:12 to go.
Illegal formation. Too many men in the backfield by the kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
So the Canes are going to be forced to punt it again on the illegal formation. I think Al Golden has gotten his motivational points for this coming week's practice in tying up some of the loose ends of this ball game. They haven't really closed it out as tightly as they would have liked.
One word, finish.
Yeah.
Finish. But no, they've got to take some responsibility for that. For a couple series ago, throwing the football instead of shortening the game. So finish goes to the players, but it also goes to the coaching staff.
Oh boy, Nebraska came after Folks. They came after Vogel. And there's a flag down at the 40-yard line.
Now,
Janovich ran into him.
Yeah, if it's just running into him, it's only a 5-yarder. And it's still 4th down. So that's why Nebraska took the gamble, thinking, you know what, as long as it's not a personal foul, we'll probably get the ball.
I'll tell you what, Al Golden has been in the officials' grill all day. That tie's all over the place. I got a pin for him if he needs one. Here's the call.
Running into the kicker, defense, number 35. 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, charged to the kicking team's bench. That's a 15-yard penalty, 4th down.
Well, here's the penalty, the 5-yard variety, not the 15. And Coach Al Golden protesting the call. He thought it should have been the 15-yard variety.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's way too far on the field. So he just got a 15-yarder for his team. And that changes field position and everything. Now, if Nebraska takes advantage of this, Golden is going to regret this 15-yard penalty because it'll make it a 1-possession game if Nebraska gets good field position and they score and have time left to get the ball back.
Here we go again. And what do you know? More flags.
Is this the 4th or 5th kick?
This is going to be the 4th coming up now.
Can we not get a punt off here? Yeah, this is
Now it's getting straight up sloppy.
And terrible. Yeah.
Full start. Offense, number 28. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Wow. The way they keep backing up, they're going to end up in Palm Beach County soon.
Well, I keep looking at Westerkamp, who's back to field the punt. He was back at his 10-yard line at one point, and now he's walked all the way up to the 25.
Yeah. He's had some good punt returns today. Justin Vogel is standing on his own 20. Now he's going to set it as 23. Here we go again. 4th down. The remix. And he gets off a great punt away from Westerkamp and just into the end zone. A 63-yard punt by Justin Vogel. And Tommy Armstrong ready to come back up. 14 out of 32 on the day. Johnny Rogers isn't coming onto the field. Roger Craig isn't coming onto the field.
Irving Fryer.
Dave Remington isn't coming onto the field. Mike Rozier.
I am hip.
Best name ever in college football. Under 6 minutes to go. Got to get to work if you're Nebraska. Armstrong rears back and fires on the post. Incomplete. No flag on the play. Tracy Howard back there defending.
Great coverage. Plenty of time for Armstrong to get that ball out, but there was nobody open, and you see the double coverage there at the end. Carter coming over to help out Howard. Perfect position.
2nd and 10. Well, we talked about it earlier. Nebraska seemingly with an inability to get the ball downfield. That pass that time behind Seethan Carter, the tight end. Carter back this week after missing 2 games, the result of a suspension. Sets up a 3rd down and 10 now. Let's go down to Quinn.
Jonesy, how about a little screen here for Nebraska with this crowd and this defense fired up right now? They're going to be teeing off on Tommy Armstrong.
Good call, Coach. I like that. I like it.
Armstrong throws it off his back foot, but that's just what he does. And he usually does it to his roommate right there, Jordan Westerkamp, with another 1st down. 5:35 to go. Nebraska with 2 timeouts remaining.
The way he throws the football in those positions, it's like Steph Curry shooting a 3 that you go, that'll never go in. He's not squared up. Doesn't matter where he's shooting it from, it's going.
Do you try and fix it at some point, or do you just leave him be?
Let him do his thing.
21-yard gain for Westerkamp. Finds his back Newby. Made one man miss and gets out of bounds about 3 yards short of the 1st down at the 48. Earl Newby out of Los Angeles, California, the reigning Big Ten co-offensive player of the week. Numbers not quite as productive as last week. 2nd down coming up for Nebraska. Underneath the pass complete to Morgan Jr. Out in the open field, still broke a tackle. And finally corralled inside the 20 at the 19.
Just a crossing route against man coverage, and Armstrong, this is the toughest route in man coverage. There was a bit of a pick play there, and Morgan got away from Artie Burns.
1st and 10 from the 19. Behind the receiver incomplete. Intended for Tariq Allen that time. Stops the clock with 4.5 minutes to go. 2nd and 10.
If I'm Miami, I'm looking for #1 Westerkamp and saying, you know what? If we're going to double or bracket anybody, he's the guy. If you make somebody else make that clutch catch down here, but Westerkamp has been Mr. Clutch in this game and the toughest receiver for Nebraska.
2nd and 10. Pass incomplete. Intended for Sam Cotton. Brings up a 3rd and 10. And this defense is going to try and close it out here.
The one thing that Miami has to do defensively is keep Armstrong in the pocket. You see his numbers, but you have to account for the 6 or 7 drops that we've also had today.
And flags down.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the huddle by the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Second time today we've seen that.
Armstrong tried to call a timeout to avoid that penalty, but couldn't get it done quickly enough. So tough situation there. Now, keep in mind, you still have your 2 timeouts. Westerkamp has been huge for you in this ball game. If I'm Nebraska, I still want Westerkamp involved, and I want Armstrong outside of the pocket to make a throw.
All right, Westerkamp has had a pretty productive day for them, doing a variety of things. He's on the sidelines right now as his roommate Armstrong scrambles and tiptoes out of bounds. Let's see where they mark him. Just inside, or just outside the 20-yard line. 4:15 to go and 4th down coming up.
Yeah, Westerkamp was not on the field on that 3rd down, and that can't happen. He has to be on the field on the critical 3rd down. He's back for 4th down, but you needed him then. I know it's late, people are tired and winded, but he's your best offensive threat right now. He's got to be out there.
First time they've gone for it on 4th down this year. Armstrong over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Nebraska. Brandon Riley. And things got a little bit more interesting. Riley with his first touchdown catch of his career. 6'1" junior out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Makes it a 9-point game. We're going to set up for the extra point, and it's a 1-score contest now. Colts with the extra point. And it's a 1-touchdown game with 2-point conversion. Let's go back and look at that touchdown. What was the key here, Rod?
Well, Riley is the guy who they want to get the ball to, and this is Westerkamp here. He'll go here and suck this guy up, and you've got the safety who's away, and so you just run the post pattern in there. You got a lot of room, and Riley runs a good route. They keep the safety away, a little bit occupied there with Westerkamp underneath, and a well-thrown ball by Armstrong.
Well, for a guy who's had so many dropped on him today when his receivers took big hits, that time Riley did a nice job to hang on to it, Rod.
And don't forget the 15-yard penalty that Al Golden took because he came on the field upset with the call, which allowed a little bit better field position. They ended up taking the ball on the 20 on a punt exchange and then quickly getting down the field. So that, coupled with not running the ball in the 4th quarter, means that you actually have a 1-possession game with 3.5 minutes.
Do you kick it deep here, or do you go for the onside kick? That's a huge, that's a pivotal deal here now for Nebraska, right?
Yeah, I don't feel confident enough that I'd get a stop if I'm Nebraska right now. I think I'd have to do the onside kick or pooch it over their head. If I kick this away, given what happened last time, I think they get at least 1 first down, and I don't know that I get the football back.
They lined up like this last time and then kicked it deep. They hang it up. And an easy catch that time for the Hurricanes on the kickoff return. Dobard makes the catch, the tight end.
Poorly executed. If you're going to pooch that, you want to get it over the heads of the first line, and you want it to drop and hit the ground and bounce so that you have a chance at it. You don't want someone simply to make a fair catch on it, essentially.
Okay, Nebraska does have 2 timeouts remaining. Last time Miami came out offensively, Joe Yearby got a bunch of touches. Got to keep the clock running here if you're Miami. They moved those chains. Joe Yearby doing just that. All the way out to the 43-yard line, make it the 44.
Remember, this was a 20-point lead for Miami not too long ago. And through a couple of big plays and poor execution on Miami's part.
Yeah, strange second half. Strange second half for the Hurricanes.
3 touchdown passes for Armstrong in the second half.
Let's go down to Quinn.
Little detail of clock management on that last Miami drive. They were snapping the ball with about 15 seconds to go on the play clock. Better job right here, letting it drain down to about 4.
Yeah, it went to right about there, as you said, 4 or 5 seconds, and Yearby gets 2. So an interesting 3rd down and about 1 or so to go.
Yeah, well, Quinn's right about the clock management, not just this drive and the last drive, but the drive before that. And if they had paid more attention to running the football, they would have eaten up a lot more of this clock.
It looked like Nebraska called a timeout.
Yeah. Well, now that you're in a 3rd and 1 situation and you're Nebraska, you have no choice again. You need to bring the house, run blitz, to make sure you've got all the gaps covered and try and stop this thing, which means you're going to single up on the outside, and if Miami wants to take a chance and throw the ball down the field, you'll let them take that chance.
And they've been very trusting of their receivers today, in particular Rashawn Scott. They've made some big catches, but an interesting play call to come here for offensive coordinator James Coley.
You see Mike Riley making sure, confirming that he has 1 timeout left. For all intents and purposes for Nebraska, this is it.
Yeah.
This 3rd down play is it.
Interesting to see if they keep Yearby in or whether they go to Walton or Gray. Gray is the bigger back, and it's going to be Yearby that comes out. Number 2.
You know, and if I'm Miami, I run the ball here. I've got an 8-point lead. I don't want to throw the ball and have an incompletion and then, you know, stop the clock. I think I'd go ahead and bleed this and run this and have some confidence in my back.
Here they go. They give it to Yearby, and I don't think he got it. He got stoned right near the line of scrimmage with 2:47 to go. Wasn't much of a surge up front on that offensive line. And they're going to be, well, let's see. According to our line, which is fairly accurate, it looks like they're marking it short.
Yeah. I'm still okay with the call by Miami because you forced Nebraska to use their last timeout. Now look at the great surge you got up front there.
Yeah, Collins.
Kevin Williams, 92. Collins, number 7. Reestablishing the line of scrimmage about a yard back. Interesting and defining moment on the battle of the line of scrimmage for both those teams.
4th down, and I mean, Miami's got to punt it here.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
You do have an 8-point lead. Way too risky to go for it on 4th down here. You kick it away. Nebraska has no timeouts. You see what happens.
Westerkamp is going to be set up to retrieve this punt back at his own 10.
How in the world is Nebraska back in this ballgame?
It was a very strange set of circumstances that got us to this point where it's just an 8-point game with 2:47 to go. Nebraska without any timeouts remaining. Boy, that's a real moonshot by Justin Bogle. Westerkamp calls for the fair catch at the 13-yard line. 87 yards away for the end zone, from the end zone for Tommy Armstrong after that 42-yard punt. And You know, Armstrong is a guy that has been searching, trying to get a handle on this new offensive style of Mike Riley's, and Danny Langsdorff, his offensive coordinator. But statistics aside, 2:39 to go, he's got his team in a position on the road with a chance to tie here.
And he has to use his feet, whether it's to buy time in the pocket or to get out of the pocket. He has to use his feet to move them down the field.
Armstrong completes it. Out of the backfield, that was Terrell Newby. And Newby picked up about 2 or 3 on the play. Second down. Nebraska without any timeouts remaining. Miami can't stop the clock either. Armstrong going up top, has a man down the sidelines. Caught, and a flag that might be a targeting penalty. Riley again. Carter made the hit, and unbelievably, the Canes secondary gets torched there.
Wow. And remember, Bush has already been kicked out of the game for targeting. His colleague, Carter, who is the tag team safety with him, now may be subject to a targeting call.
We're going to take another look at this, but Riley came up immediately and tapped his helmet as he took a blow. What a throw, though, by Tommy Armstrong. He put it right where it had to be. A 39-yard gain.
Absolutely, and great throw, great catch. But if you're Miami, how in the world?
Personal foul. Targeting. Defense. Number 6. 15-yard penalty. That penalty is under further review.
A receiver should never get behind a defensive back in this situation, this late in the game. But it happens. Now, watch the hit here. There is a little bit of a launch right at the head. He wasn't trying to tackle him and wrap up. There was nothing but shoulder and helmet going up high above the numbers. That is classic targeting. They'll confirm this.
Yeah, that's what we see on our demo film when we meet with officials.
So now you are thin at the safety spot if you're Miami and Nebraska.
Review. The play stands as called on the field. Number 6 is disqualified from the game.
So just to recap, Dion Bush was ejected back to the 30. A loss of 3. Let's see what this flag is about. Nebraska doesn't have any timeouts remaining.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield by the offense. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Second down from the 30. Where's the guy they like to run those fly sweeps with a little bit?
Hey Jonesy, here's your new safety. That's your third string safety is in there. Number 24, Josh Johnson. And if I'm Nebraska, I'm trying to go right here. I'm trying to find him and go there.
Armstrong looks that way, fires, incomplete. Broken up in the secondary. Nice play by Tracy Howard, one of their savvy DBs. They went back to Alonzo Moore. So it's third down and 13.
And remember, you don't need all of it right now if you're Nebraska. You're in 2-down territory. It's games on the line. You don't need 13. If you get 6 or 7 and have a 4th down, you're fine with that.
Westerkamp lining up to the top of your screen in the slot. Number 1. On 3rd and 13. No timeouts remaining. A little heat. Armstrong made a play to get away. Turns it upfield and steps out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. And it looks like he got the first down. What a move and play by Tommy Armstrong. He eluded that first tackler and got away from Cornelder. That was huge, a 16-yard pickup.
No timeouts, Jonesy, but plenty of time. If you don't have to panic here if you're Nebraska. You just don't need any sacks.
Riley in motion.
They hand it off. Newby got met in that hole
at the 8-yard line. A good stick by Dallas Crawford coming up from his safety position, but a 6-yard gain.
Still have to hurry back to the line of scrimmage because the clock continues. They do have run-pass options here. They don't have to necessarily throw it.
Westerkamp lined up to the top of your screen in the slot into the end zone. Nope, they're saying it's a flag. There's a flag down. Stanley Morgan Jr. seemed to have it momentarily.
I think it's pass interference.
And they called pass interference.
Pass interference, defense number 3. That penalty is declined. The play results in a touchdown.
What a play.
How
unbelievable.
Morgan, top of the screen, getting inside of Howard and then just out jumping him. Howard never saw the football. What a tremendous effort by Morgan. You're talking about a freshman coming up with a big-time catch to give Nebraska a chance to tie this game. Unbelievable.
Here we go. They need this to try and send it into overtime. Morgan lines up to the top of your screen. He just topped the touchdown. Westerkamp in that bunch formation. Westerkamp ties the game at 33. What an amazing comeback by the Cornhuskers.
Are you kidding me?
It was 33-10. And they have rallied to stun Sun Life Stadium. But here's the two-point conversion.
Well, Armstrong knew when he threw it, he had the right guy. Westerkamp, we've talked about him all game. He's been as tough as nails, and he's clutch. He comes up with this, and now Kaya knows he's still got work to do. The lesson for Miami, you have to put the team away. You have to manage the clock. They got sloppy early in the fourth quarter and thought it was all about a stat game and kept throwing the football and did not run the ball, did not run the clock, and it came back to bite them.
An improbable, implausible, incredible comeback by the Cornhuskers from a 33-10 deficit. They've scored 23 points in a little over 8 minutes.
You know, Jonesy, with 11 minutes to go, folks started leaving here.
And the Canes will start off on their own 25 with 33 seconds to go.
Can you imagine the amount of grief that Al Golden is going to get, regardless of the outcome now?
Yeah.
I mean, they had a 23-point lead late in this ball game.
Well, now it's about getting into field goal range, perhaps, for Michael Badgley, the place kicker. Coach Golden says he's got a very explosive leg. He figures he can go from about 52 yards or so, maybe even more, if he gives him a shot. His career long is 48. He's 4 for 4 today, but look at that, 23 straight points.
And that's because they gave clock to Nebraska.
And a different mood on the sidelines for the Cornhuskers.
No doubt.
And Miami players still in stunned disbelief. And it looks like they're just going to take it to the break and not even try and go for the field goal, which raises a chorus of boos here at Sun Life Stadium.
I hear you. I mean, the way Kaya's thrown the football today, I'd take a shot. And if nothing happens on the first down, you know, then you take your knee. But your guys played great at quarterback, thrown 40 passes and, what, a bunch of touchdowns? I would have given it a shot on first down.
Time winding down, 2 seconds to go, and regulation has expired. Riley on the sidelines with some big plays. Nebraska Cornhusker Nation have come down to South Florida and taking it into overtime. ESPN College Football continues after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Overtime, folks. 12th meeting between Nebraska and Miami is going to be epic. As we head into overtime here at Sun Life Stadium, the coin toss as we head to overtime.
Are you guys going to talk to your teams? Okay. We're going to have a coin toss just like at the beginning of the game, all right? The winner of the coin toss is going to get their choice between who gets the ball first or which end of the field that we play in. All right? Now, who we kidding? The winner's going to want to go on defense. Then the other team's going to decide which end of the field we play in, all right? Now, Nebraska, you're still the visitor, so we're going to let you call the toss. I got a silver dollar. And head and the tail that I'll flip up and allow to hit the ground. What's it? Tails? We go. It is a head. You want to go on defense? Which end of the field do you want to
Well, here's a look at the overtime rules. Choice of offense or defend whatever end of field. Each team gets one possession from the opponent's 25. No game clock, play clock only. And got to go for the two-point conversion starting with the third overtime if it goes that far. Well, you look at that guy's T-shirt and you can only think about one thing. The Turner-Gill pass in that classic battle between Miami and Nebraska in the 80s.
Yeah, they've got a little history about close games and two-point conversions and the like. Now, everybody is familiar with this. You always want to go on defense first so that you can know what you need to do. Now, after the first possession, this tells you what your probability of winning. If you only get a field goal on your first possession, you've got a 36% chance of winning. If you get a touchdown, you've got a great chance of winning. So keep an eye on what your team does. If you get only a field goal, things aren't looking too good.
Wow. Nebraska's going to start with the ball from the Miami 25 or the 25. Monty Cross dotting the I. Little play fake on first down. Armstrong looking to throw. Has all day. Fires deep. And it's picked off. It's picked off. Elder. And finally pushed out of bounds. Had he scored, it would have been game over.
A personal foul at the end of that. Someone took a shot at Elder. Watch the very end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a shot at the end of it.
Number 71, Alex Lewis, the left tackle.
And the bad thing about that for Nebraska is when that's enforced, that's going to put them in field goal range.
Right away.
Now, that play, ill-advised throw by Armstrong. It's first down. No need to force it. You've got plenty of time. Throw it away. Come back and play the next one.
After the play was
he
over,
just tries to muscle it into the end zone. He didn't have anything on it.
Offense, number 71. The next overtime series will begin for Miami from the 12.5-yard line. First down.
Boy, you talk about buzzkill. If you're a Nebraska booster, look where the ball is going to be placed. They're going to push this thing all the way down inside the 15 at the 12. If you're Al Golden, you come out and just kick a field goal and end it.
It was a stupid penalty, a stupid thing to do, and a stupid throw. Armstrong knows it. And now Miami, yeah, why not take the easy route here, huh? Maybe a run or two, but you got to line yourself up and kick a field goal and get out of here.
Well, their place kicker, Justin Vogel, pardon me, Badgley is 4 for 4. They run it. Yearby inside the 5. 8-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 2. Boy, what a change of momentum. Yearby again. Stopped. Going to be close to that first down marker. I'm not sure that he got there, though. Third down coming up. The ball on the right hash right now. That's where we're going to spot it.
Nebraska players definitely reminding each other, wrap up, strip. Get the ball out. And for Yerby, he's got to wrap up the ball, keep it high and tight, cover up when he gets contact.
He's already gone over 100 yards, got 17 rushes for 125. And are they going to measure here? Third and short. Either way you look at it. Boy, you talk about the emotional high of tying this game at 33 to get it into overtime, and then on the first play you throw an interception, and then the personal foul call. They're that much short. And number 71 on the bench there, that's Alex Lewis. That's who that penalty was against.
Well, the combination of Armstrong taking a chance when he knows better. He knows he didn't need to take that chance. A pick, and then Lewis, a really dumb foul at the end of a run when it was clear that Elder was out of bounds. And here's your ball game, a big third down here.
Patton and Yerby in the backfield. Yerby, the battering ram. It looks like he got enough for the first down. Another flag down on the play. Tough sledding inside. And it's going to go against Miami.
I kick it right now.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield by the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
That's the 25th combined penalty of the ball game.
Why not go kick it? If you're Miami, why not go kick this and be done with it? The only reason you don't kick it here is that your kicker doesn't like it on the hash.
Right.
And if he doesn't like it on the hash, then you run it to the middle and line him up straight. Otherwise, you should be kicking this.
Let's see what Kaya does. Does he run into the middle of the field and fall? That's the plan. Okay. So there's your room service. They put it right in the middle of the field for Michael Bagley, the place kicker, who today has made field goals from 23, 27, 41, and 28 in what has been one of the strangest fourth quarters we've seen in a while, partner.
Unbelievable. A 23-point lead by Miami squandered. Poor clock management. A couple of big plays given up to Nebraska, with Armstrong being tough and making some clutch throws.
Their first and only charged timeout of the overtime period.
And they're going to try and put him on ice, calling a timeout. This one's going to come from 28 yards out, and Armstrong there just with a regretful look on his face. And it's really too bad when you consider the way that he played in the fourth quarter, bringing his team back.
But for him and Westerkamp, they would not have gotten back in the game, but he made the clutch throws to get them back. But then, unfortunately, in overtime, his first throw, really ill-advised.
Let's go to Quinn.
Golden tries to rattle his kickers on Friday. He asked them to make what he calls pressure kicks with 150 team and staff jumping around, and Bagley hit from 50 that day. He said in his former life, he was a fighter pilot. He's nuts. Let's see how his nerves hold up here.
Well, he better do his Top Gun impersonation. 28 yards away, straight ahead. Snap is good. Just inside that right upright, and the Hurricanes win it. What an ending. Another classic between Miami and Nebraska. Wins it 36-33 and improves to 3-0 on the season. A narrow escape for a team that apparently had this game on ice. And here's the field goal that won it all for Miami in overtime with a career-high 5 field goals for Michael Bagley. Armstrong played a heck of a game for the Huskers. Let's go down to Quint.
Coach Al Golden, you're up 33-10 with about 11 minutes to go. What happened then?
Okay, so the first thing was I should have protected us down here. We threw an interception. We had a chance to go up by 20, by 23 at that point. And then we come back, and we didn't finish the drives in the red zone. And then we left our defense out there too long, and we didn't make enough plays on defense. Give them credit. Give Armstrong credit. I thought he played a hell of a game.
On the positive side, though, what ultimately made the difference in your favor?
Just fighting. Just fighting. I mean, that's who we are. We stayed together. Nobody got disjointed. Nobody was getting adversity didn't get to us. We stayed together and we ended up winning. I'm really proud of these. I couldn't be more proud right now.
It's probably not a must win or a signature win, but it means a lot for you in this program. What does this signify?
It's a big win, and the way we did it is even bigger. Just to stay together, just block everything out, just play one play at a time, and to finish like we did and win in overtime. Just really proud of our guys.
Ever see a game like that before, Coach?
Unfortunately, I have, but again, give Nebraska credit. I mean, you could see what Armstrong was. Some of the plays they made down. We had a couple ejections, had a couple guys injured. So again, we scratched and clawed and came out with the win.
Congratulations, Coach. Mark.
A wild night here, an afternoon at Miami Gardens, Florida. Lots of twists and turns, great defensive plays, offensively and defensively, as Nebraska falls to 1-2. Miami improves to 3-0. Brad Kaya with another career day against Nebraska. Passed for 379 yards, a couple of touchdowns as well. This was the interception in overtime that helped lead to the game-winning field goal from 28 yards out. It wasn't pretty at the end, but they got the win. That's it from Sun Life Stadium here in Miami Gardens, Florida. Armstrong disappointed. Our final score 36-33. Right now, back to the studio.